for real. Eskimos, Bombers, next.
Well, anytime we play football, but when it feels just right, we're gonna kick back, relax, watching football on a Friday night. It's Friday, and we're gonna be high. It's Friday, from coast to coast, the CFL is Canada's game. Well, we're all pumped up to party, and we're ready for a fight. Come on, get back, relax, watch some Friday night football. Boys are too bad, playing CFL football game is up for grabs. It's Friday night football tonight.
Yes, the Bombers are finally home and ready to rumble with the Eskimos on Adidas Friday Night Football. Hey, folks, along with Chris Schultz and Matt Dunnigan, I'm James Duffy. Thanks a lot for joining us on Adidas Friday Night Football. And, you know, tonight in Winnipeg, the Bombers are going for gold. No, that was last week. Yes, the Pan Am Games are over. No medals tonight, just one winner and one loser. But the fact is, you know, besides maybe the Cubans, the Bombers were probably the only folks who didn't enjoy the Pan Am Games because it forced them on the road for 3 long weeks. Matt, how important is it for them to be back home?
It's extremely important, James. They're 1-2 on the road. A 1-2, that's not bad, but they're extremely happy to be back in their own backyard for some other reasons you probably wouldn't think of. They're going to be in their own bed, some home cooking, a chance for a good night's sleep, a chance. I don't know if they're sleeping or not, but hey, a chance for a good night's sleep. Back in their own environment. Get back into some rituals, some superstitions that they may have that they hadn't been able to get into for 3 weeks. These things are very important for football players. They're in their own locker room. They've got their own training facilities. And, Chris, I think more importantly, they're on their own practice field for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, Dave Ritchie had his football team back in their same environment on that practice field. And you know what he did? He beat the heck out of them. Those Blue Bombers hit each other all week long. Why? Because Dave Ritchie was so disappointed on the lack of effort in the 40-7 loss to Toronto Argonauts last week. It was a huge issue. Not the mistakes, but the effort. So what's the one flexibility issue he has? How hard he can mentally practice his football team and how hard he can physically practice his football team. Well, they went at it. Dave Ritchie's trying to change their state of mind, making them realize that each and every day they have to come out and play, improve themselves on the football field. And you know what? It works. I can hear the conversations right now between the players before the game. Hey, guys, let's go out, beat the Edmonton Eskimos, but let's beat them also so we don't have to beat each other up all week. This little bit of psychology, you know what, James? It works.
Now, Don Matthews didn't put his troops in pads this week, but that doesn't mean he's very happy with his team's performance either. With more on the Eskimos, let us send you out to Winnipeg. Here are John Wells and Glenn Suter.
James, not many rookie quarterbacks get the start for 6 straight weeks with a record of 1-5, but Don Matthews says that Nealon Green is his quarterback for now and for the future. And Glenn, I thought as we watched him against Montreal last week, he started to show us a little something with a 4th quarter drive for a touchdown that kept Edmonton in the game.
Yeah, well, that drive tied the score. Then Tracy Ham put him up by 7, but I thought if Nealon Green got the ball back again, they would tie that up again and go over to overtime. Tracy Ham made sure that didn't happen. We know what Nealon Green can do running the football. Think back to week 2 when he had 180 yards on the ground. Nealon Green is also progressing as a passer. He's starting to recognize defenses, but he has to progress at a much faster rate. Time for rookie play is over.
And one thing that he really has to do is stop having eyes for only one, and that's Terry Vaughn, his favorite target. He has to spread the ball around a little bit more.
Yeah, he really does. Terry Vaughn, obviously the go-to guy, and ironically, back in week 2 when Nealon Green had his best game running the football, Terry Vaughn had his best game catching the football. 3 touchdowns against the Saskatchewan Roughriders and that big win for the Edmonton Eskimos. No question, Terry Vaughn is the go-to guy, and he's playing well. He played well last year. He's played well ever since joining the CFL 4 years ago. But Terry Vaughn, for this team to get to the next level, has to raise the level of play of the players around him.
Now, the Eskimos face a very crucial test in Winnipeg tonight. They really need a victory because Edmonton cannot afford to go home and on to next week with a record of 1 win and 5 losses.
All right, thanks very much, gentlemen. More on our game a little bit later on, but when we return on Adidas Friday Night Football, we'll preview the other game in the CFL tonight, Stamps and Riders. Lots of changes at quarterback, so the running games will be crucial. Yes, now a little bit later on, we got the Stamps and Riders. They met in Week 1. Calgary won the game, but Saskatchewan did much better statistically. More first downs, more total yards, more time of possession, but they didn't get it done on the scoreboard. You know, who'd have thought in Week 6, by the way, when Calgary and Saskatchewan playing each other, that our 4 quarterbacks would be Mike McCoy, Heath Rylance, Steve Sarkisian, and John Rayborn. But, Matt, probably the Stamps have a bit of an advantage because they seem to have a pretty good system to plug these guys into.
They really do, and Mike McCoy is the next guy to be plugged into that system. He's, you know, we've got Garcia, you've got Dickinson, you have Burris, and now you've got McCoy. That carries over on the whole entire football team. Roy Shivers, player personnel director, continually finds the talent to fit into Wally Buono's system, and it carries over no matter what position you're talking about. It's just we're talking quarterbacks this year. It seems like they're going down like flies, James.
Now, on Saskatchewan's side, a ton of adversity, Chris. First of all, Reggie Slack is gone. They have 63 points scored against them last week. Fans are upset. How do they respond to all this?
You know, I really have no idea how the Saskatchewan Roughriders are going to respond. It's really up in the air. Usually it's an extreme situation. They're either going to rally around the whole situation, come out and beat the Calgary Stampeders significantly, or it's going to be the exact opposite. Calgary's going to come down there and they're going to pummel the Saskatchewan Roughriders. There's no common denominator when situations like this happen to a football team. But I think there's an issue here. When you look at responsibility, you look at motivation, you look at the makeup of a player. Hey, these guys have a responsibility to the city of Regina. It is probably the most unique market in all of the Canadian Football League. The people down there take the football seriously. They identify closely with their players. If I'm in that locker room, I'm aware of that fact, and I want to go out there and put on a show, not just for the fact that they have to move up into the standings and that this is their profession, but they're playing in a unique city, and they should take extreme pride in that. What will happen? We'll tell in the first quarter. The first team that scores the touchdown, that's a confidence builder. I think the team that scores first will end up winning, James.
Yeah, Riders probably need this one a little worse than the Stamps do. All right, time now for your weekly CFL Sidelines Pass. The sounds of the game within the game, straight from the mouths of the coaches and the players. Have a listen.
Sounds of the game.
It looked like man to me, but my guy sat outside, I think, thinking about switch, so I just turned around and showed him my number.
Okay, all right.
I'm not sure what the coverage was.
Okay.
Colin, get your ass inside.
If he's got any problem at all, he promises he'll get out of there. If he does, then you got to carry the ball, okay? All right, no problem.
Here's Lapointe, and here's the touchdown, Eric Lapointe.
That should be Coleman in there now playing outside leverage. See how the halfback plays here to the field.
I think ran right to him. I missed it. Look. And look, if I'd have hit him more, I'd have knocked his brains out.
If they check, let him call it, just in case they play pass.
And they punch into the end zone. Look at that speed. He's into the end zone.
We're going to keep that line. We're all on
Press on 3. 1, 2, 3, turn. Let's go, Arnold. Take it back, baby. Take it back.
Great stuff, and we'll have a different installment of that every week on Adidas Friday Night Football. Okay, when we return, we do something most defensive backs in the CFL can't do. That's get up close with Milt Stegall. We're the only ones who could catch up with him.
Friday Night Football tonight.
Welcome back. Well, when Darryl Mitchell left for the NFL, there was a job opening for most explosive receiver in the CFL. Milt Stegall said, you know what, I'm going to apply. And I think it's safe to say, Milt, you've got the job. Let's get up close with the Bombers' lethal weapon.
Up Close, brought to you by Adidas. Long live sport.
Bell
has Stiegel. He spun away from the first tackle, and he's out. This is the foot race. Stiegel has great speed. Can he be caught from behind? It looks like Stiegel is going all the way.
I've had success in the league because, you know, I'm just learning the game. There's a lot more I have to learn, but there's a lot I've learned since I've been here. This is basically my 5th year, you know, give or take some games because of injuries and going down to the NFL. But I'm just learning the game. I learned by watching guys when I was up here, studying film, and just, you know, realizing the things I have to do. When I first got up here, I thought it was all about route running, but this game, because of the field is so big, just have to get to the open spot. And you get to the open spot, the quarterback's going to get the ball to you. So it's just you know, it's not always the best athlete that's going to win. It's the smartest person who's mentally tough out there. And I think I'm just getting more mentally tough. And, you know, when I get to the stage I want to be at, I think I can be even more better than what I am right now. I'm just blessed. Every time I go out there, I just try to give it 100%, no matter what the outcome is. Just trying to give it 100% because you never know when your last down is going to be. And you always want to say, you know, you gave your best, you know, however long I get to play.
Up Close, brought to you by Adidas. Long live sport.
And these very telling numbers. When Stiegel has a big night, the Bombers win. When you control them, they usually lose. That is what you call an impact player, Chris.
You know, there isn't a CFL team that would not want a player of the explosive ability of a Milt Stiegel. To be effective in your offensive football philosophy, your receivers need to be different. You need one with great hands. You need another that can really diagnose whether it's zone man and find the open area. You need another that's a precision pattern runner. But you know what is the most important thing? A guy who is a burner. Why? Because if you have a burner, whether you put him in the slot or the wide receiver position, when he runs down that football field, you know what that free safety and those defensive halfbacks do? They turn their hips and they sprint. That allows all those other types of receivers more room to play. There's no doubt in my mind that Milt Stiegel is the most explosive, then maybe the most exciting player in the Canadian Football League, and he should have success year after year after year, James.
And quarterbacks do need a lot of different types of receivers, but we all know that they pick favorites, and I think Matt Dunnigan can attest to that, and it seems like Kerwin Bell's favorite Stiegel.
Yeah, it really is. And, you know, I've had some favorites in the past. David Williams, Brian Kelly, D.K. Smith, and even Andrew Murray. Andrew Murray may not be the most gifted player out there, but, hey, it's not always your favorite target is the fastest, the tallest, the quickest. It's a guy who understands the game, who understands situations. You have to work at that, too. It's something that just doesn't happen naturally. It's something that you work at. It's an understanding of both receiver and quarterback. And it just so happens in Kerwin Bell, in Milt Stiegel's case, he's got the best athlete on the football field, which is a lethal combination, James.
All right, we're going to check out more of Milt Stiegel coming up. In fact, you know, this is the greatest invention, according to Schultz and Dunnigan, since the all-you-can-eat buffet. It's a little thing we call virtual replay. Let us have a look and get you ready for the Bombers and the Eskimos.
Virtual replay, brought to you by Molson Canadian. Here's where we get Canadian.
Chris, let's see Milt Stiegel in action.
Hey, let's see him in action against the Toronto Argonauts as he explodes for a touchdown. Stiegel benefits from good play-action pass technique from his quarterback, Kerwin Bell. He holds that football right in his stomach 2, 3, 4 seconds. What does that do? It creates hesitation, a situation where the linebackers just aren't sure if it's a run or a pass. What does that do? It gives Milt Stiegel more room to maneuver. Now, phase 2, he is in the slot position. What that does is give him three-way opportunity. He can run his pattern inside, he can run his pattern outside, or in this case, he can run it right down the middle of the field for the touchdown. Stiegel, in his mind, he wants to close that space between himself and the defensive halfback as quickly as possible. When he gets shoulder to shoulder with that defensive halfback, well, then it's up into gear 3 and 4, and that's when he is at his best, when he is shoulder to shoulder with a defensive halfback. Every CFL defensive halfback knows about Milt Stiegel, and they know about his big play capability. Kerwin Bell fakes, sets his feet, throws the football, actually underthrows Milt Stiegel. Milt Stiegel adjusts, touchdown for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I tell you, this young man is exciting. He's great for the league. He's going to help Kerwin Bell's confidence. He's going to help Winnipeg Blue Bomber confidence, and he's going to make plays. He had over 17 yards per catch last year. He may have 20 this year, James.
Now, the Eskimos also have a very speedy, elusive weapon, but at a very different position. He would be the quarterback, Nealon Green. And let the quarterback talk about the quarterback. Matt, talk about Nealon.
Yeah, with Nealon and his abilities, and I'm definitely talking about his running abilities, you devise ways to get him in space, and here Don Matthews is doing that. He's put him in shotgun all by himself. Right now, Nealon Green can feel Alfred Payton trying to get upfield, but Chris Morris, the right tackle, does a good job of cutting off his path to the quarterback. Your Elmish Tube, the center, number 56 for Edmonton. He's got dual responsibilities. Uncovered at the snap of the ball, and he has to come hard to his left to protect Nealon Green's backside. Ed Thomas is going to come off the backside there, and Elmish Tube does a great job of coming off and protecting this. Now, Nealon's already got run in his mind because he's a young quarterback, and he feels the presence of an Alfred Payton, and when he feels the pressure, he's green-lighted. He's getting upfield and moving the chains with his feet. Now, you young quarterbacks, put that ball in your opposite hand there, the furthest away from the defenders, and some advice to that young quarterback, Nealon Green. Get you a neck roll, some Earl Campbell thigh pads, pad up a little bit because it's a long season. And if you're going to continue to run, those hits are going to add up, James.
Listen, this is a man who knows. He's taking his shots. Get the extra padding if you can. Green and Stiegel, a couple of guys to keep a very close eye on tonight. The Eskimos and Bombers getting ready to play in Winnipeg. More coming up on the pregame show when we return. Yes, it's been a long time without football in Winnipeg, a real prairie drought. 3 weeks they've been waiting, and finally they're ready. Good to see fans of opposite teams getting along. All right, now before we get to more on that game, let us recap last night, and we'll begin in Montreal, where the Alouettes were kind of like, imagine the Super Friends without Aquaman and Batman and Wonder Woman. That's kind of like the Owls last night. They didn't have Pringle, they didn't have Ham, they didn't have Climby. So the super subs had to take over, and they did a terrific job. Anthony Calvillo in for Ham, and he would get things going right away. First drive for the Owls. He drops back, and Chris hits Alfonso Browning.
Well, super sub number 1. Nice pass. They burn the Ticats on the blitz on this play.
Tough start for Danny Mack. Danny, welcome to Peyton Place.
Yeah, he's feeling the heat. Not many sacks for Alfred last night. In fact, 0, but he's making his presence felt.
Danny had a bloody nose. He would return. Thomas Haskins, the guy replacing Pringle, was very impressive.
Oh, hey, James, super sub number 2. Great vision, great acceleration. The secret is out.
14-3 Owls in the second quarter, like Harrison Ford in The Fugitive. McManus looking for the one-armed man, Andrew Grigg.
Highlight, get a picture, put it in your living room.
Calvillo keeps it going. Connects to Haskins. He can catch too, Chris.
Hey, for me, this was a huge surprise. Nice adjustment by Charlie Tapp. Haskins, receiver as well.
10-point lead for the Owls at that point. Haskins also huge on the ground, especially in the fourth quarter. 11-yard gain here. He rushes for well over 100. And the Alouettes kind of surprised the Ticats. Remember, the Ticats had been coming off 2 huge wins in which they'd won. Scored 117 points, but tonight it was the Owls' night with the super subs. They do it. 24-17 is your final. Owls improved to 5-1. Hamilton drops to 3-3 on the season. More importantly, Montreal has won both games against the Ticats so far this year. They would also hold the tiebreaker at the end of the season in case they were tied. We talked about the Owls missing all those 3 guys. I don't think a lot of people expected them to win this football game. They were very impressive, Matt.
Charlie Tapp never batted an eye. He just plugged those players in the system. We talked about Calgary doing it. Charlie Tapp is doing it in Montreal. Jim Pop has put the system together. He's shaking the trees right now as we speak, going to those NFL camps, finding players to put in those systems in case they have any more injuries. Right now, Montreal is a team that is well-suited for their system, and these players stepped up last night. The thing that impressed me most, Chris, was the way that Haskins was able to shoulder the load towards the last part of the game and continue to do the things that Mike Pringle does.
Thomas Haskins looked like he was the tailback for the entire season. I was very impressed with the young man. He has a great future. And on the other side with the Hamilton Ticats, I really didn't think they played that bad. I thought it was the drop passes. You saw Flutie drop a couple. Mike Morielli, it went right down the line. Remember, there's things that break momentum continuity for an offensive football team. There's penalties, there's offsides, there's different situations. But I think number 1 issue was the drop passes. And I don't even know, Matt, how you correct something like that other than going to a practice field and repping it time and time again and make your slot backs, make your receivers very conscious of the fact you have to catch the football.
Yeah, Chris, it's just a concentration thing. And it was such a tight ball game last night that Hamilton, it really cost them when those balls were put on the ground. There were no turnovers. Hamilton's been feasting on that. Montreal, a team historically doesn't turn the ball over. Tracy Ham not in the game, so it's up to Anthony Calvillo to play a very tight ball game and be secure with the football. He did a good job. Hamilton didn't, and it was such a tight game, it cost Hamilton last night.
All right, now the late game last night was out in BC where the Argos came to town. You know, football is a strange game. Any game with Chris Schultz in it is a strange game. Jay Barker, a couple of weeks ago, benched. Jimmy Kemp gets hurt. Jay Barker comes back in, and a new life for his team and himself. Starts out a little sloppy. Robert Drummond puts it on the ground. Glenn Young recovers it. On the ensuing Argo drive, Andre Kerwin and Eric Carter mixes it up. Kerwin bumps the ref.
Can't do this. He'll be marked man for the rest of his career. He's going to be hard-pressed to get a call from those officials.
Second quarter, 4-0 Argos. Drummond redeems himself, 11-yard touchdown straight up the middle, 7-4 Lions. But BC, more sloppy stuff. High snap over the head of Louis Pasaglia, but a smart play.
Oh, it was a smart play. This play is over. It's a dead issue. Don't try to recover it. Kick it out of the end zone. Live for field position.
Chris says something nice about a kicker. Jay Barker for Tyrone Brown.
They needed a big play receiver to step up. The last 3 weeks, Tyrone Brown has given them the production.
27 Argos at that point. Lions continue to self-destruct. Jimmy the Jet loses an engine. Or the football.
Oh, Donald Smith stripped him, but I'll tell you what, that entire Argonaut defense played exceptionally well.
Their ground game impressive as well. Tony Burse up the middle.
That's a bull. That's definitely a bull in a China shop.
China shop bull.
Bull in a China shop.
Bull in a China shop, definitely.
Score really no indication of the game. BC scored a bunch of points late when it didn't matter. Argos win at 28-26 and improved their record to 3-3. And, you know, just a couple of weeks ago, people were writing off this Argo team. They were 1-3. Their offense looked awful. The defense has brought them back in it, and the offense starting to catch up as well, Chris.
You know what? All phases of the Argonaut football team played exceptionally well. Number one was the defense. Great game, but the offense didn't self-destruct. Jay Barker had absolutely no interceptions, and they got a couple really good kick returns from Adrian Smith. That's a great field position issue. They used that oddball formation, jumbo, 2 tight ends, tough guy, whatever you want to say about it. Hey, they had a 15-play drive that took up 5 minutes and 58 seconds. It made the difference within the game, keeping the ball away from BC. But on the other hand, Matt, I don't know how you assess BC. They can go into Calgary, they can win a football game, they come back home, and they didn't look good. They looked flat, they had fumbles, they had turnovers. You know, how do you reassess them?
I'm looking at Greg Mons' reactions on the sidelines, Chris, and they don't look very good. He's got a team that's in disarray right now. He's got a quarterback that is doing everything within his capabilities to try and get this offense kick-started, and he's got a ton of talent around him right now. Damon Allen, Joe Powell, Greg Mons need to sit down and iron out a solid, simple game plan that these guys can feel good about, not have to think, just go out there and react and get things done. I think that's what we'll see in the future, James.
All right, enough living in the past. Let us get to the immediate future, which is Adidas Friday Night Football tonight. The Bombers and the Eskimos. Gizmo hoping to break a big one as the Eskimos try to break out of a losing skid.
We're gonna kick back, relax, watching football on a Friday night. It's Friday, and we're gonna be hard to take. It's Friday, from coast to coast, the CFL is Canada's game. Well, we're all pumped up to party, and we're ready for a fight. Come on, get back, relax, watch some Friday Night Football. Boys are too bad, playing CFL football. Game is up for grabs. It's Friday Night Football tonight.
Winnipeg, Manitoba, where the Bombers and Eskimos are getting ready to go on Adidas Friday Night Football. A shot from our indoor blimp cam here at TSN Football Control. Duffy, Dunnigan, and Schultz getting you ready for the Bombers and the Eskimos. A couple of last-place teams trying to snap out of it tonight. The Bombers were pretty hot until last week, and they're returning from 3 weeks on the road because of the Pan Am Games. But you know what? It wasn't a real fun homecoming because of the way Dave Ritchie worked out his club this week.
It's his team, and if, you know, he feels that's what he needs out of us, then, you know, that's what he's going to do. And we all survived. How's that saying go? What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So, you know, there was a little bit of grumbling this week, but, hey, if we win this week, you know, it's water under the bridge.
It comes down to our attitude. The games that we've won, we've had a nasty attitude. We've had you know, if we lose, we're going to die attitude. And our losses, we've been a little more complacent. We've gone out, we've tried to execute. We haven't had the effort, though. We're going to have to come out and be like the Bombers of old, mean and nasty, and make people afraid to play us.
It's kind of hard to put your finger on it exactly. I think it just comes down to players, each and every one of us as individuals, having stepped up at the times necessary in order to turn games around. I mean, we've been in some close football games, and play here or play there, we go home winners.
As a coach, I have to coach them better. I have to find out what their skills are and coach at their skill level. And when the players are on the field, it's up to them then to make the plays necessary to win. So it's a joint effort. We certainly are in it together, and if I can coach them better and then on game day they can play better, then we'll get our wins.
Don Matthews not used to this at all. The worst start of his professional head coaching career, and the folks in Edmonton not used to it either. This their worst start in several seasons. Matt, how do they get it turned around?
Well, as good a coach Don Matthews is, and as much success he's had in the past, he's still dealing with some truths here and some facts. It's happened in Toronto with Jim Barker. It's happening with Don Matthews in Edmonton right now. Youthful team. He's trying to put his finger on it. It doesn't happen overnight. Chris, it's just going to be a matter of just sticking together, and Don Matthews is going to instill confidence in these young kids. I don't care if they're 1-12.
You know what? At 1-4, both of these teams, what they lack right now is the belief in winning and confidence issues. But I think with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, I'm looking for that whole effort scenario that I tried to diagram earlier in our pregame. I'm going to be watching the special teams. A great indication if a team is ready. Are those guys on special teams, are they headhunting? Are they really going after people, not just to make hits, but to make a punishment? And then on defense, how many guys are around the football? If you run a sweep, how many guys on the defensive football team are there right now ready to make the tackle? You know, football comes down to big plays and turnovers. But you know what creates those big plays and turnovers? Effort. I think both of these teams are out to win tonight, and they're out to win by extreme effort, James. This is going to be fun.
Nealon Green on Edmonton, we've seen flashes of brilliance. We've also seen some rookie mistakes. What do you expect from him?
Well, expect the same. Nealon Green is a young quarterback. He's surviving now with what he does best, running the football. It's going to be a matter of time and maturing. It's going to be a long process for the Edmonton Eskimo fans to watch this kid grow up. They know, they're smart folks over there in Edmonton. They've got to be patient. You know, a quarterback has got to play and learn in order to mature, in order to have a full, complete package. Nealon Green is going to be up and down for a while, but he's an exciting quarterback, and I'm looking forward to watching him.
All right, the Eskimos are 1-4, trying to get out of the basement in the West. They're tied with Saskatchewan. Winnipeg 2-3, trying to get out of last in the East right now. They could tie for second if Dave Ritchie's club wins tonight. Kickoff coming up, everybody.
A bright blue prairie sky over Winnipeg, Canada's Pan Am City. It's Friday the 13th. Which team will be unlucky tonight? The Bombers and the Eskimos have both suffered lots of misfortunes so far in 1999. And Glenn, both teams are absolutely desperate for a win. It's only week 6.
The Esks trying to snap a 3-game losing streak. The Bombers, an embarrassing loss last week to the Argos.
It looks like a great night. Here are the conditions from the Weather Network. A summery 12 degrees Celsius. The wind south at 15. That's blowing right to left across your television screen tonight. Eskimo head coach Don Matthews has not been on a streak like this in 18 years in the CFL. He has lost 4 of 5 games, and going back to last season, Matthews has only 1 win in his last 9 starts as a head coach.
Dave Ritchie was not happy at all with the performance of his team last week versus the Argos, a 40-7 loss. He suffered. He put the pads on him this week, worked him hard, and he expects a lot better effort from his team tonight.
Troy Westwood is ready to get this first football evening in Winnipeg in over 3 weeks underway. The Bombers have been a traveling team because of the Pan American Games. And it's down to the Giz. Henry Williams ready to return as he crosses the 25. And not much more after that. Out to about the 32-yard line. Tonight's starting lineups for Midas Car Care the way it should be. Nealon Green makes his 6th straight start for the Eskimos. He won in week 2 and lost the other 4 games. His numbers are decent everywhere but in the win column. 7 touchdowns, and that leads the league among quarterbacks for Nealon Green and the Edmonton Eskimos. Edmonton beginning at the 32-yard line, first down. Some hard running inside by the former Bomber Sean Millington. Offensively, Terry Vaughn is the class of a brand new Eskimo receiving corps. Sean Millington gets his second start, and it's against his old team. And up front, Leo Groenwagen plays his 222nd straight game. Quite a streak. Gain is 7. This is 2nd and 3 Eskimos. Big Sean Millington again, and he gets it done. Millington has the first down.
Defensively for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, led up front by Tyrone Rogers, who has 2 sacks on the season. In the linebacking core, Maurice Kelly leads the team with 25 hits. And in the secondary, the corners, Barry Wilburn and Brandon Hamilton. Inside, Andre Strode returns as a halfback.
So the Eskimos on the ground with a first down out near the 50-yard line. Green puts it up for the first time. It was tipped and still caught by Terry Vaughn. Tipped at the line, right to Terry Vaughn.
Well, Terry Vaughn is a guy that we'll watch, and obviously he's a guy that Nealon Green will also watch. Got a little bit lucky here. Terry Vaughn just moving up the field, running a curl route, little shake move, and then comes back to the football. And that's the key, because that ball was deflected. Because Terry Vaughn kept working back towards it, he was able to make the reception. He's having a good season, leading the team with 29 receptions this year.
Eskimos getting a couple of breaks early on Friday the 13th. Right to Vaughn, and he narrows in on a first down. They'll measure here to see just how close it is.
Terry Vaughn will play all over the field. He'll line up at the slot back position, move out to wide receiver. Sometimes he starts in the backfield and then hits the line running downhill. Try and mix it up so you can't lock any coverage on him.
Now, who will Vaughn spend the most time with tonight, do you think?
Well, it's going to be up against Andre Strode and Don Robinson for most of the night, the inside halfback spots.
Mark Tobert starting at one outside receiver to the near side. Green faked it and took off himself. He'll have the first down or be a foot short. He loves to run and is the 4th leading rusher in Canadian football going into the week.
Yeah, Nealon Green really accounts for a ton of the Edmonton Eskimo running game, and we know what he can do running the football. He showed that early in week 2. Talked about that, his 180-yard rushing game that week. Nealon Green can take off and run, and he will rely on that as a young quarterback, no question about it. There was his record-setting game against the Saskatchewan Roughriders in week 2.
And that was the only time the Edmonton Eskimos won a football game this year, when Green ran for the big yardage against Saskatchewan Roughriders in week 2. How close did he get this time? Well, about that short. So about a foot to go for a first down to keep this Eskimo drive going. Solid start for Edmonton and for Nealon Green. He's kept it on the ground with a couple of plays to Sean Millington. Hit Terry Vaughn and carried himself for 9 3/4 yards.
Yeah, and we're going to watch Millington again tonight as well. I mean, Millington playing the first time against Dave Ritchie and the Bombers since Ritchie released him. So we'll watch him, and Nealon Green run around with the football. It's going to be some fun tonight. You know, he's fired up to play this one.
A little something to prove for Sean Millington on his old home turf at Winnipeg Stadium.
Yep. We'll get him.
2nd down and inches to go for the Eskimos. This is the opening drive of the ball game. Green has a free down, looked to put it up, and then carried himself when receivers were covered. So he'll have the first down.
Yeah, it's good waist down. You know, you only got a half a yard to get the first down, so why not try and get him on a little play action and see if you can't throw one over the top. Of course, you know you can always come back and run it on 3rd down with Sean Millington. Pound him up in there, you're going to get the first down. So take a shot at it, come back and get the first down.
And up for the first down as the Eskimo drive continues at the Winnipeg 40-yard line now. Green, a little option. And Millington couldn't turn the corner. Grant Carter was there to lead the Bomber tacklers.
Yeah, good team pursuit by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Nealon Green going to run the option down the line of scrimmage. Now pursuit can kill the option in a hurry. Watch how quickly Maurice Kelly gets to the outside and cuts Sean Millington off. Nowhere to run to the outside. Then he gets help from Grant Carter coming up the middle.
2nd and 13. Green is caught and nailed by the second tackler. So the Bombers get through. Maurice Kelly, number 24.
Expect a lot of this from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. All-out blitz. You know, we've seen teams play against the Edmonton Eskimos and their young quarterback. Hamilton blitzed them a ton from the safety position. Then Montreal played more zone. They showed blitz and dropped out of it. Now we're going to see the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and I talked to them before the game. They're going to come after him. Dave Ritchie loves an attack-style defense. Dick Adams also loves to play that in the back end from the secondary. He's the assistant coach standing beside Dave Ritchie. You're going to see them come after Nealon Green tonight.
John Baker will try a long field goal for the Bombers, spotted right on the 51-yard line. Barefoot in the park, and he's good. John Baker gives the Eskimos a 3-point lead. A decent drive that ends with 3.
Adidas Friday Night Football is brought to you by Adidas. Long live sport. Castrol GTX. Drive hard. And by Molson Canadian. Here's where we get Canadian.
After his 51-yard field goal, John Baker ready to kick off for the Edmonton Eskimos. Just a perfect evening in Winnipeg. The stadium refurbished for the Pan American Games. Baker's kick is high. Rashid Gale at the 10. One cut, and he ran into a big Eskimo defender down there and is quickly wrapped up by Justin Ring. Kerwin Bell has been inconsistent as the Blue Bombers starting quarterback this year. His numbers do look okay until you get to the 5 touchdowns versus 7 interceptions. And Bell was off his game last week against his old team in Toronto.
Yeah, anytime you're at the wrong end of a 47 score, you're off your game. And that goes right across the board for this team. Not just Kerwin Bell, but offensively, they really didn't play very well at all.
DeRoy Simon, number 80, comes to the near side. 3 receivers to Bell's left. He keeps it on the ground to Dylan McCullough. Bell has the CFL's #1 receiver in his lineup. Milt Stegall has been brilliant so far in 1999, and the Bombers have to run with Dylan McCullough. Up front, the Bombers look solid. And this is year number 10 for Dave Van Conant. Steady as they come at center in Canadian football. Milt Stegall, 573 yards receiving so far. Bell puts it up and into the turf at the 40-yard line. Robert Gordon was his target.
Defensively for Edmonton Eskimos, one notable absentee up front. Of course, Tyrone Hines will start for Leroy Blue, who is suspended and back in Edmonton. In the secondary, Anthony Fogel gets the start on the corner. Torrey Hunter is back in Edmonton with an injury.
The Leroy Blue story is rather interesting when you think about an 11-year veteran who is an all-Canadian and the most valuable Canadian in the CFL not that many years ago. And I'm sure we'll hear more about that as Giz drops back inside his 40. Nice high kick. Eskimos could use some big special teams returns. Here's one. Not bad at all. Up to the 55-yard line. Robinson lost his hat making the tackle. So what do the Eskimos have to do to win tonight except besides get Giz in the game?
Well, I'm going to go in reverse order because they got to get Giz in the game, and that's need Giz magic. And we saw a pretty good return right there. They need a lot more of that. Got to find another target. Terry Vaughn, 29 catches. All the 3 other starters have 30 catches combined. They got to go to somebody else if you double cover Vaughn. And stymie Stegall, no question. Stegall, the go-to guy for Winnipeg. You know, Edmonton's got to special attention to him.
Nealon Green right on the 55. Scott Dybert this time. And Rogers was there for the tackle. Tyrone Rogers, number 91.
Yeah, he's having a pretty good year. And they rotate up front. And what's interesting about their rotation, I'm talking about Tyrone Rogers, Benny Goods, Glenn Scribner, and Andrew Stewart. They rotate, but they all 4 of them rotate, so all of them have to know every position on the defensive line.
Gain is 5. Green needs second. Looks at second and needs 5 more. May get it himself. Comes up a yard shy as he faked it once too many times, and the Bombers were there to read it. So he's at least a yard short. Grant Carter has been a factor already.
It looks to me like what Edmonton's going to do to combat pressures, keep their running back in there and try and pick it up. You see Scott Dybert on Maurice Kelly, but Tom Europe was also on the blitz, and that would have gone for a lot less had the Winnipeg Blue Bombers kept contained to the wide field. As it was, they still held Nealon Green short of the first down, but right now it looks to me like the Edmonton Eskimos will try and block pressure. There's two schools of thought. You can block it, or you can spread everybody out and try and beat the team deep that's pressuring you. Right now it looks like Edmonton's blocking it.
Joseph Rogers is deep for a third down punt from Matt Kellen. Across the 50, it was close to being blocked, and here's Rogers. Will have no play as it rolls through the end zone and stands for a single point. Not quite what they were looking for. They wanted to hem the Eskimos deep, but it's a single.
Well, I think for Winnipeg to win this game, John, Kerwin Bell is going to need some help from his running game. 2 wins, 97 average running the football, and then the losses, that drops to 68. They got to ground Green. We talked about his great running ability. Make Nealon Green a passer, and they have to find an identity. You know, they have Milt Stegall. That's their go-to guy. But after that, what kind of team is the Winnipeg Blue Bombers? One week they're up, the next week they're way down. They've got to find an identity and a level of consistency.
And like the Eskimos, the Bombers have made substantial changes to this roster. Dave Ritchie has brought in some veterans, some familiar faces, but they haven't gelled as a unit yet. First down. Here's Dylan McCullough. Up to the 43-yard line. It appears he has won the starting job from Corey Philpott.
Yeah, he did that out in BC when the Winnipeg Blue Bombers beat the Lions, and Dylan McCullough got his first start.
He won it, and he retains it, though.
Yeah, that's right. And Corey Philpott's still hanging around on the practice roster. How long he does that remains to be seen. But for now, Dylan McCullough has earned the starting job and is in the lineup.
He got a couple. This is 2nd and 8. Bell to his right, far side. Big hit as Stegall tried to make the catch. Terry Ray, number 28, laid it on Stegall.
Perfect timing, and it is all timing for a defensive back. You got to make a quick decision when you're breaking up. Charles Anthony puts the shoulder right in Milt Stegall, takes him to the ground. When you're breaking downhill like that as a defensive back, what you're thinking is, do I have a chance to go for the football? If not, I've got to time it up and make the hit. Charles Anthony had perfect timing on it.
Bob Cameron across his 25, and he booms this one. He chased Giz back about 20 extra yards, but that opened a hole, and Henry Williams is flying out to the 50-yard line. Great return after a 50-yard punt. The Giz starting to make things happen for the Eskimos. On a 48-yard single and a field goal, it's Edmonton 4-0. Dave Ritchie a little testy after the Blue Bombers didn't really show up for their game and lost 40-7 to the Argonauts last week. And here's a guy who used to be in the lineup, and Ritchie had a tough decision to make with Sean Millington. They go back to the BC days, but Millington just wasn't getting the job done here. They flip it ahead and out across the 50-yard line. Eskimos with a few interesting maneuvers as Ricky Walters took it that time.
Well, Ricky Walters, because Sean Millington was getting some equipment adjustments done, Ricky Walters lined up in the backfield and took that inside handoff right up the middle. Ricky Walters is going to play a little 5-receiver pack and a little at the slot back position, but can also play some tailback, obviously.
They should use it again. Substantial yardage. 2nd and 2. Green puts it up on target for Donnie Ashley.
Flag on the field, and it looks like there's going to be a little bit more yardage for the Edmonton Eskimos tacked on to this one. I believe Andrew Stewart was right in the middle of that one. Looked like he may have got a roughing the passer or a rough play call.
Ashley's first catch of the night 10 receptions, 123 yards, still looking for his first touchdown in 1999. Another one of the Eskimo rookie receivers. Taking a while to make this decision.
Well, they're chatting, talking about the options right now, and captains have to look to the bench. The bench has to give the captain the signal. The captain gives the signal to the referee, and
then everybody has to talk about it.
Yeah, and then they move it down the field.
Make a final decision.
But it is going against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And Ken Lazaruk will let us know exactly what the call is.
Disqualification.
Oh, man.
Winnipeg, number 24 for kicking. First down, Edmonton.
Unbelievable.
Maurice Kelly is out of the game.
Well, I saw Andrew Stewart pleading his case, and he was lying down right beside Nealon Green. But obviously, Maurice Kelly was the guy who was doing, and he said it was kicking.
That's absolutely amazing that that would happen at this stage of a football game.
And that's a huge loss for the Bombers.
Yeah, adjusting back there is not going to be easy for Winnipeg. But for the Eskimos, it's 1st and 10, Bomber 15-yard line. Great chance to add to the lead here. Tolbert made the catch, and he was hit immediately. Maybe we can see it in here. See what happened to Maurice Kelly.
They said it was kicking. There's Maurice Kelly to the right of your screen. Now let's just see exactly what he does. He goes in there. He's on Scott Dybert, and there's the kick with the left foot. Nealon Green pointed it out. That's disqualification.
Eskimos, 2nd and 5 at the Bomber 10. Nealon Green to his right, puts it up into the end zone, and it one hopped before Terry Vaughn could get to it. Another marker is down.
This time it's Phil Curry's turn to get that late hit. You know, Dave Ritchie talked about his team having no emotion last week.
Major foul, roughing the passer. Winnipeg, number 51. First down, Edmonton.
Grant Carter gets nailed. Curry was there too, but there's the hit. 2 steps after the ball is thrown, Grant Carter hits him right in the mouth. You know, talked about the emotion level being low last week. Well, this week it looks like it may be a little too high.
Yeah, they might have cranked it up too many degrees. So that sets the Eskimos up 1st and goal to go at the Bomber 5-yard line. Tough start for the Bombers. A good one for the Eskimos, who've moved the ball well and have a 4-0 lead already. Nice fake, and Green tries to go to the inside. What a great tackle by Benny Goods. I thought he was gone. I thought he had all kinds of territory to his left.
John, you know, I can't emphasize enough how big of a tackle that is. He's right over here at the left of your screen, and this is a big defensive lineman in space with one of the most athletic quarterbacks in the game. That is not easy to do for defensive backs. That is a huge play by Benny Goods.
A loss of 4 yards, 2nd and goal to go. Edmonton now at the Bomber 9. Green has time. No target. Ed Hervey was in the area, and they didn't communicate well enough.
Oh, Brandon Hamilton just shut the door on Ed Hervey. He ran the route for him. He's going to try and get inside position, but watch how Brandon Hamilton will cut him off. He wants to go inside and then back to the corner. Here's the inside move. Now watch him try to get back. Brandon Hamilton standing right there says, no, sir. Brandon Hamilton has the right to defend the ground he's standing on. Ed Hervey could not run through him to get to the outside. That is called blanket coverage.
Bombers escape. It could have been a lot worse for Winnipeg with Edmonton set up at the 5-yard line and goal to go. Baker made his first. Now he's made 2 in a row. Eskimos have driven for a couple of field goals. The Bombers are lucky to be down just 7-0.
What's up, baby?
Jay Haas has the lead at -9. Canadian Mike Weir 1 shot back, and the Tigers circling. He is at -7, 2 back. The PGA Championship continues tomorrow on TSN, and we'll be up to watch it at 10:30 a.m. Eastern.
Benny Goods just saved his team 7 points.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, that was a huge play in the open field to tackle Nealon Green.
Bombers offense hasn't done a thing so far. And McCullough can't do much on first down.
Well, they're still pounding the running game. You know, they talked about the running game heading into this one because last week they ran the football a total of 11 times. And Dave Ritchie knows that you're not going to win many games if you're just running the ball 11 times. Even if you're not getting huge yardage, you got to do it. It does two things. Gets that offensive lineman with the right mentality, the right attitude. They get to fire out and deliver some blows. They also can do some play action out of it. Without a running game, play action is meaningless.
There's a passing situation on 2nd and 8. Kerwin Bell found the escape valve. Paul Blackwood turns it into a first down. A.J. Gass wrapped him up.
You know, Paul Blackwood is in that situation where he's on the other side of that Millington scenario. I mean, we talked about how fired up Millington will be to come back here and play against Dave Ritchie. Well, Paul Blackwood's the guy that Dave Ritchie felt was good enough to replace Sean Millington. So you know Blackwood would like to have a big game and just prove his coach right.
First down for the Bombers. Dylan McCullough as they continue to pound away. Solid defense for the Eskimos in the middle. Malvin Hunter in the center of things there, but so was Doug Peterson, number 94.
Yeah, you got to wonder about this Edmonton defense. It has struggled a little bit throughout the year, and it's got a whole bunch of new faces. B.J. Gall is playing for the first time in the middle. That defense, you got Marcelo Simmons. He's a first-year Eskimo. Gall steps up nicely on that play. They really haven't been able to pull it together and put a full 60 minutes of football together.
Kerwin Bell looks at 2nd and 7 and fires complete at the 45-yard line. Jeroy Simon made the catch, number 80. His 12th of the year, a 15-yard gain.
The reason he got the catch was this. Paul Blackwood allows Kerwin Bell to get the corner. Watch the big block that Paul Blackwood will throw. This is the most important block on the play, because if he can't seal that edge and let Kerwin Bell get outside, he never has the throwing lane to get it in there to Jeroy Simon.
Winnipeg first down. Nice play action fake by Bell. He had Blackwood. Got one hand on it. Would have been a tough catch. Yeah, and Bell had him in the open.
Well, yeah, and that's why Kerwin Bell said that. You know, he turns around and goes, that's my fault because I have him wide open. All I got to do is throw it out there, make it an easy catch for Paul Blackwood.
Good effort by Blackwood.
Boy, and did they ever work the play action nicely. We talked about having to run that running game and run Dylan McCullough up in there to make sure that play action will work. If you don't have a running game, no one bites on play action. Well, they've run it early in this game, and then that time Tyrone Himes really bit on the play action.
2nd and 10. Bell going deep for Stegall. He's got it. First down, and lots to spare. A run out by Chris Hardy. 22 yards for the Bombers, their biggest offensive play of the game.
Terry Ray is going to have a long night. Now what he's expecting is Stegall to go to the out. He jumps to the inside position, and Terry Ray is hoping he's going to get some help from his safety, Chris Hardy. Hardy was a little bit deep on the play, and Stegall with a real nice inside, outside, back and forth moving right to the sideline.
Yeah, that was a terrific pattern by Stegall.
Now, we'll watch this matchup. Terry Ray against Milt Stegall, and so far 1-0 Stegall.
Dylan McCullough has a little more room as he turns the corner and has at least 9 yards. So what do you do if you're a defensive back in this situation?
Well, first of all, you know that the Edmonton defensive game plan will be to give Terry Ray a little bit of help, and probably from the safety position. Chris Hardy will have to play sort of in the middle, down the post pattern, so that Terry Ray can play outside leverage on Milt Stegall, so that anything coming out, Milt Stegall, if he runs any outcut, Terry Ray has him. Any in, he's looking for help. We'll see how it develops.
Bell on 2nd and 1. Gets it to McCullough again. He has a chance, and he's dropped at the 3-yard line. And Ray over to make the tackle. Nice run by McCullough. I thought he needed one more little move there, and he might have made it all the way.
That's what you ask out of your tailback. You want him to make a couple of guys miss. You give him a little hole at the beginning and then break some tackles in the open field. Use your athletic ability. Chris Hardy right there has a chance, but McCullough keeps his feet and gets an extra 2 yards. 2nd and 3rd efforts out of Dylan McCullough.
4 first downs in this drive for Winnipeg. First and goal to go here. Give it to McCullough. You got a touchdown. Dylan McCullough into the end zone with his 4th touchdown of the season. Couple of nice runs by McCullough. He deserved to get it on a short situation.
When Dave Ritchie said in the paper this week that they're going to run the ball more, D-Lam McCullough couldn't have been more happy. I mean, he was up there just all smiles saying, yeah, let's run the ball. Give me the running. Every tailback wants the football. I mean, that you just ask any tailback, you know, they want it 30, 40 times in a game. Well, you can't do that in the CFL. I'm sorry, there's a little too much passing for that. But they all want the ball. D-Lam McCullough is no different.
Bombers' second drive ends in pay dirt. McCullough into the end zone. And this for the tie. Westwood gets the Bombers even. It's 7-7 on Adidas Friday Night Football.
You know why that was such a successful drive for the Bombers? Not only does it end up with this play from D-Lam McCullough, a couple of nice runs, and this is a very good one as well, down on his own goal line, and he just powers it in there right behind big Dave Van Conant, the center, for the touchdown. But what's great about that drive is the mix of pass and run. A couple of plays to D-Lam McCullough early. Didn't get a whole lot of yards early in the drive, but then they threw it to Milt Stegall. Then they come back to McCullough. He breaks some tackles. Good mixture, good balance.
Yeah. Who's that one for?
Toast Chewy, baby.
4th touchdown for D-Lam McCullough.
D-Lam McCullough was really the workhorse on the drive. I mean, he pounded it up in there a couple of times, took a bunch of hits, got a bunch of yards after first contact. He got a little help from one of his teammates, too.
To get down deep.
Paul went the wrong way.
That's what I thought. He ended up.
Well, whatever Paul did wrong, the play worked. Westwood, in a 7-7 game, puts it high. The Giz ran right into one of his own blockers. And there's really no return there.
Well, I mentioned that D-Lam McCullough had a little help from one guy. That was the guy. Milt Stegall, key play and the key player in this offense for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Watch the pattern. Here's a little inside stem. That's called a stem. When the receiver comes off the line of scrimmage on an angle, he's stemming the defensive back, trying to get him to get out of his back pedal. Milt Stegall will make you do that in a hurry. He's got tremendous speed. You better get out of your back pedal and turn and run, or he's going to blow right by you.
We'll see if Nealon Green can respond for the Eskimos. Edmonton beginning at the 40. Green near side has Herbie. And Herbie surrounded by 4 Bombers. Benny Goods is a little anxious to get his nose in the middle of things here tonight. Made one great play earlier, showing lots of enthusiasm right there. A touchdown each in the opening quarter in Winnipeg. It's 7-7, the Eskimos and the Blue Bombers.
You're watching Adidas Friday Night Football, and we're at the quarter. Brought to you by 1-800-HI-IT'S-ME. It's the cheapest way to call. Collect.
All right, welcome back to TSN Football Control. We talked at length before the game about how angry Dave Ritchie was this week and how he had the guys practice in pads. Well, may have backfired a little bit early, Chris.
You know, you might be right in the sense that really we're going to have a couple plays here, and we talked about the level of effort. Well, here's an example of misdirected effort in a couple examples. The first one really is Maurice Kelly. At the top of your screen, he runs over Diebert, the fullback, turns around and kicks him in the head. You can't do that. It's not an obvious situation, but he kicked him in the head. Now here, Grant Carter headbutts the quarterback, Nealon Green, right number 15. He headbutts him right in the head. You know what? They know exactly what they're doing. You know what's important here is they do have to make those calls, because if you don't make those type of calls early in the game and the defensive players know that they can get away with it, it escalates. Then all it becomes is a little bunch of cheap shots in battle. No longer a football game, just a bunch of cheap shots between two teams, James.
Now on the Eskimos end, they did score 3 times in the first quarter, but only 7 points out of it. They have to do better than that, Matt.
Yeah, they're going to have to, and the reason why they're not is plays like this. Benny Goods has just had an extremely beautiful executed play here. Nealon Green coming out and around, most feared quarterback, running quarterback in the league. Open field tackle by Benny Goods. it's plays like that that's kept Winnipeg in this football game, kept Edmonton from separating themselves. And if they're going to get in the win column, they're going to have to start putting majors on the board instead of singles and field goals.
If the Bombers do go on and win this game and Dave Ritchie's philosophy work, we may have Schultz and Dunnigan practice in pads all week long as well.
There you go.
Back to Winnipeg for second quarter action.
And here are the numbers after the opening quarter. Who has the advantage here in a 7-7 game?
Well, let me see. It's pretty close there. Pretty close there. Well, it's dead even on that one. That's close. And 0-0s and 7. Well, I don't know.
The
it's 7-7.
Bombers a definite advantage by 6 seconds in time of possession.
That's as even as it comes.
What a catch by Milt Stegall. I should say, what a pattern by Milt Stegall, because the catch was easy after he ran the route. Nealon Green on 2nd and 4. He escaped, and he should have the first down or be very close to it. Looked like he was wrapped up, and Scribner had to come back and make the tackle.
Well, they're coming. You can see Tom Europe come from the right of your screen. Eric Johnson right up the middle. Here's 13. Phil Curry's up in there. That's every Bomber they have to rush the quarterback. That's exactly what Hamilton did in the big win Hamilton had over Edmonton, is they rushed Nealon Green. And what Nealon Green did was just take the football, look at the rush coming, and never really get a chance to look downfield. Looks like the Bombers tonight have the exact same strategy coming in.
Green keeps the drive rolling for the Eskimos, trying to respond to a 9-play, 75-yard march by Kerwin Bell of the Blue Bombers to get things even at Winnipeg Stadium tonight.
Don Matthews is going to have to give Nealon Green a little bit of help, because he's going to have to get some receivers down the field, get rid of that football, and try and burn this Bomber football.
On first down, a nice fake by Green. And he got away from Benny Goods to escape for another first down.
Okay, it's 1-1. Benny Goods made that great open field tackle in the first quarter. Now it's the second quarter. Nealon Green has a different game plan for Benny Goods, who is right there on your screen. Now watch how he gets out in the open field. Little play action. Now it's the same thing. One-on-one in the open field. Benny Goods and Nealon Green. This time the inside move and get to the outside. So I got that one 1-1.
A little dance there.
We're dead even. You know they're going to go at it. Benny Goods wants to have a big game, playing against his old teammates.
No doubt about that. And Green is having a nice night.
Well, you know, Nealon Green goes over to the sideline. He's going to talk and get some help over there. You know what he says? First of all, he goes, how come I'm seeing number 40 every play? And, you know, I'm going to get to know this guy pretty well.
Interesting thing about Nealon Green is he calls all his own plays in his rookie season in the CFL. Matthews leaves it up to his quarterback to call the plays. Now, they might have had a discussion over there a moment ago, but it's Green's ball game to run. And a lot of veteran quarterbacks in this league get their plays sent in from the sideline. Interesting.
Yeah, well, and I think it's a great idea. I mean, I think the players play and the coaches do the coaching, but the coaching happens during the week. That's where the preparation is put in. That's where you sit down in the game film and watch, put in your game plan. But when you get on the field, it's the players that have to execute. They see what's happening. They're right in the action. Let them call it.
The Eskimos need less than a yard for another first down, and they get it easily with Green. Nice fake and around the right side.
That was a real nice fake.
It was a terrific fake.
That was
a marker is down.
Green thought that was a real nice fake.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Winnipeg number 13. First down, Edmonton.
Bombers are giving it away. Here's Tom Europe.
Tom Europe pushes Nealon Green after he is out of bounds. And this is the third play that the Bombers have been too aggressive and, quite frankly, a little cheap.
Maurice Kelly has already been tossed from the game for kicking. So this gets the Eskimos a little closer and sets up a touchdown toss here. Easily done for the Eskimos when you do it like that. Wilburn was turned inside out by Ed Hervey.
And this is a design play, John. This is called the throw behind. It looked like Nealon Green underthrew Ed Hervey on the play, but that's what he wanted to do. Barry Wilburn is complaining that he got pushed off. Hey, no blood, no foul. I thought it was a pretty good no call. You're going to see Nealon Green. He's going to look to the, this is a nice thing. He looks away, first of all, looks off the defensive back and the safety, throws it behind Ed Hervey on the throw behind. He comes back and comes up with the football. A design play to throw it behind the receiver.
Wilburn doesn't get beaten very often. That'll hurt him. He'll be a little angry about that because Hervey turned him around and found the end zone. Eskimos have a lead of 14-7.
Let's get ready to join the party. CFL kick football. Look out who comes to football. Let's get this series started. Everybody come join the party. Come join the party tonight.
It is Friday Night Football, and penalties are killing the Bombers. The last drive took only 5 plays to cover 70 yards in a time of 1:51. Hervey made the catch, but the Winnipeg penalty set it up.
That was on Tom Europe, and again, undisciplined play. 3 times from 3 different Bombers. Maurice Kelly throwing out. Grant Carter got a late hit early, and Tom Europe also nailed.
Rasheed Gale, and flags are everywhere. Gale is wrestled to the ground. And Hervey made the tackle.
Barry Wilburn still complaining about what he thought was a push-off. Here's the play. Ed Hervey on the go route. Now, the ball's going to be thrown behind, and yes, Ed Hervey gives him a subtle little push that keeps Barry Wilburn's momentum going down the field. But I'll tell you what, that's just playing. You're going to get little pushes like that, and Barry Wilburn will start to pull, but this is what set it up.
Yeah, Tom Europe.
Penalty pushes him out of bounds, really didn't have to do it. Just a little bit of lack of discipline and lack of concentration for the Bombers. That set it up, and then, of course, Ed Hervey finished it off.
Well, it's not a little bit of lack of discipline here because the Bombers have 1 player tossed out of the game.
Well, no, you're
Grant
right.
Carter got a penalty that set up half the distance to the goal line. And Maurice Kelly out, and we just saw Tom Europe there, so...
Dave Ritchie will go in at halftime here, and he's going to say, you know, he's going to say to his team, don't play any harder, just play smarter.
Jeroy Simon to the near side. Stiegel also in this direction. Rogers couldn't hang on.
Well, for all the young receivers out there, that's why you catch the ball first time and you catch it with your hands. Now, Rogers tried to catch it with his hands, but he double clutched it. You know that hit's coming soon. If you don't catch it the first time, chances of you hanging on aren't very good.
Kerwin Bell did not have a good week last week against Toronto. 16 of 28 for 156 yards. No touchdowns, a couple of interceptions. Here's the 8s, and Peterson got a hand on it. Peterson came steaming through and got 1 hand on Bell's pass attempt.
It's a good thing for the Edmonton Eskimos that he did that. He is down in here, right in the nose area. Now he's going to come up on Dave Van Conen and get his hands up because they're setting up the middle screen to Paul Blackwood. If he doesn't knock this down, Paul Blackwood catches a football and has a lot of room to run with it.
Peterson saved the quarterback there after putting the pressure on, kept him away from the padded goalpost.
Now that's the difference. You're not going to get a penalty for that.
But he's not going to get flowers either.
I doubt it.
Cameron right on his goal line. One of the all-time best, 11th in all-time scoring. Here's the gives. He is the all-time best. Looks like he's just a stride or 2 away from breaking one tonight.
I'm telling you, I got that same feeling. You're just watching him sometimes. There's some nights when he has a bounce in his step. And tonight is one of those nights. I just feel like every time he touches the ball, this could be the time.
Just 7 yards on that return, but earlier there was one for 24, another for 17.
He said last week to me he was going to get 200 yards. He had about over 70 yards, but he had a long one called back around a 65-yarder, and he said to me, if I don't have that one called back, I get close to my goal.
Eskimos have it right back. Nealon Green, far side, on the money. Herbie had the touchdown, and another catch there.
Well, they like Ed Hervey in Edmonton. They really think that this could be the guy that can open things up for their offense. And you talk about good speed. Well, he has the combination of good speed and good height. And you love when you get that combination. A good tall target with speed.
Some are suggesting he's the fastest player in the CFL. Well, a lot of teams make that claim about their players. Scott Diebert definitely not the quickest on the Eskimos.
Well, that's a funny one. You know, who's the fastest player in the CFL? Well, you know, everybody runs a 4-4. Like, I don't care what position you play.
Well, Nealon Green runs a 4-4.
Yeah.
I've got it noted right there.
Yeah,
That's
who you are.
The
it doesn't matter who you. You come into camp, guy beside you, you're walking into the dorms first day. He says, yeah, so what'd you run? Well, I run a 4-4. Everyone runs a 4-4. That's just, well, you got to say that. Of course, I ran a 4-8.
That's how you make the team. Green has Wallers, and he's bulldog to return on a high tackle by Eric Johnson. Picked him up and just threw him down.
Well, Bruce Beaton working on Grant Carter right here is the reason that Nealon Green has time. Grant Carter's trying to do a swim move, and what a swim move is when you bring that right hand to the shoulder pad, swim your left hand over.
Green lost the ball. The Bombers have a chance at this one and say they've recovered it, but then the Eskimos do too.
Tom Europe got up yelling that he had the football, and when he got up, he had it in his hands.
Sounds like the Eskimos will retain possession and try a field goal.
Well, he's still arguing his case because Tom Europe had the football. Now, they had to have blown it dead before he wrestled it out of there.
Eskimos have looked very impressive in handling the football and driving for yards and first downs. John Baker hit one from 51, a shorter one after that from 16. He's 2 for 2, almost dead on here. Spotted at the 47, and that one comes up shy. Rasheed Gale out for the Bombers, out to the 20. Oh, he was hammered. Hello! Philippe Girard, number 44. He draws into the Eskimo lineup with Leroy Blue at home watching. So Girard makes Rasheed Gale pay. Watch this one more time as we take a break. Whoa!
Hi, everybody. Welcome to TSN Tonight. I'm Darren Detition. You know it is a good hit when they lose their mouthpiece. Let us bring you up to date on the PGA Championship. Heading into the second round, Mike Weir was just 2 strokes off the lead as Sergio Garcia was your leader. Let's take a look at how the day went for Weir. 5th hole from the rough, 3rd shot in this par 5. Weir leaves it close to the pin. He birdies and moves to 6 under. Then on the 9th, Weir from the edge of the fringe for birdie. It is good. Weir moves to 7 under par. We go to the 14th. Mike Weir at 8 under par, 2 behind Jay Haas. Weir with his 2nd shot in this par 4. He sticks it within 5 feet of the pin. He would birdie, moving to within 1 stroke of the lead at 9 under par. Mike Weir remains that way, 1 behind Jay Haas. You can watch the 3rd round of the PGA Championship right here on TSN. It begins at 10:30 Eastern Time.
The game of football is not a contact sport. It is a collision sport. If you don't believe me, ask Rasheed Gale.
Dylan McCullough, hard yards and wrapped up by
My goodness. That may be the hit of the year so far. That was a big one. I can't believe Rasheed Gale got up. I mean, there was equipment flying everywhere.
I could take better. I got hit harder last week, as a matter of fact.
There was always a harder one, right? When you're sitting there on the sideline saying, hey, I'm okay. Good for Rasheed. He's up and ready to go back in. Kerwin Bell has a target, and Stegall picked up by Chris Hardy. Hardy has a couple of blockers in front, and he's inside the 20-yard line to about the 16. Penalty flags come down after Hardy stepped out of bounds.
John, there's always a cat and mouse game that goes on with the quarterback and the free safety. The quarterback's got to try and move the free safety with his eyes and with his head. Make sure that you get the free safety out of the middle before you go back to the seam. That time, Chris Hardy was the cat. Kerwin Bell was the mouse. Because Kerwin Bell looked all the way to the receiver he wanted to go to. Milt Stegall down the seam. Chris.
Holding, Winnipeg number 57, decline. Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Edmonton number 41. First on Edmonton.
So A.J. Gass for unnecessary roughness.
What? Now watch this. See, Chris Hardy walks over to the right. Now see how Kerwin Bell turns and looks down the seam immediately? Hardy just flows to his eyes. He looks at Kerwin Bell's eyes. He looks at his head. He says, he's going to Milt Stegall. Then all you have to do is keep moving to the football, hang on, and take off. That's how you play free safety. Stay in that middle, read the quarterback's eyes, break on the football.
Hardy's return covered 39 yards. It was a nice one, but the Eskimos lost a little on the roughing penalty. So they're back at the 31, first down. Edmonton looking sharp with a 14-7 lead. The Bombers should be down by more than a touchdown the way they're playing. Elon Green looks cool as he finds Ed Hervey. Hervey was an All-American track star at UCLA.
Did not have a catch in the Montreal game, and that's probably why Elon Green wants to go to him now. They probably looked at that film and said, you know, we didn't throw him the football, but he was open occasionally, and really have to try and spread things around. We talked about Elon Green having to go to some other receivers. Well, he must have been listening.
Tip this time. Loose ball, and Europe couldn't react quickly enough. Couple of tips on the line tonight.
Tips don't just happen. It's not just a lucky thing. Grant Carter gets good push up the field on Scott Dybert. When he does that, he's about 4 yards back in the backfield. If Dybert attacks the line of scrimmage, doesn't let Carter up the field, he doesn't have a shot at tipping that football.
Elon Green looks at 2nd and 10 at the Bomber 20. Got rid of it to Hervey in a hurry, and Hervey can't break away. Bomber defense has done a good job of keeping Edmonton out of the end zone a couple of times tonight, because the Eskimos' lead should be more substantial than it is right now.
Well, you're right about that. And they've shot themselves in the foot and then bounced back when they really had to. Think back to the first quarter. Benny Goods made a big play on Elon Green, and then Brandon Hamilton, great coverage in the end zone on Ed Hervey, did allow Elon Green to throw a touchdown. So they have bent and not broke a couple times.
Baker missed his last one. No mistake about this one as he barefoots it through. 3 more for the Eskimos, looking sharp tonight. The Bombers are down by 10 on Adidas Friday Night Football.
Adidas Friday Night Football is brought to you in part by AT&T Canada, the network the world works on.
We're having a good time tonight in Winnipeg, where the Eskimos have arrived to play, trying to snap a 3-game losing streak as Baker kicks off after his 3rd field goal of the night. And that one trickles out of bounds. Yeah. Error there because,
yeah, the new rule.
The Bombers get an opportunity for instant field position as a result of a kickoff out.
45-yard line is where Kerwin Bell will start this drive, and that's great field position when you think in normal kickoff you want to get to around the 30-yard line, but the rule was changed at the beginning of last year to avoid and stop kickers from trying to angle it right into the corner, kicking it out of bounds too much, stopping the game and slowing the game down.
Well, the penalty wasn't severe enough, so some teams would play it that way. And
That's
if it
right.
rolled out, they'd say, tough luck, we'll kick it back a couple of yards or 5 yards further back. But
that's right.
Now it's a severe penalty, and it's a stupid thing to do if you're a kicker. Put it out of bounds.
Well, you got a lot of field to kick it into.
Let's see if the Bombers can respond. Here's DeLan McCullough. Not a bad start on this drive. He's out across midfield. He's run well tonight for Winnipeg, and they really had to establish some kind of a running game.
Well, yeah, and their drive that they scored on, that's what they did. It was DeLan McCullough, both sides of the formation, and then they mixed in a couple of passes, one to Milt Stiegel. That's what they wanted to do. They went away from it on their last 2 drives, didn't have any success. Now they've gone back to it.
10 yards there. He has 9 carries for 48 yards so far. And adding to that total error, make that 10 carries for 58 yards.
Had a bit of a hamstring injury in training camp. DeLan McCullough really wasn't running hard until the last couple of weeks. Even in BC, it was a bit of a question mark as to whether or not that hamstring was back, but Millington is no longer here. He was the feature back last year here in Winnipeg. Didn't do a good job at it. Now DeLan McCullough takes over.
McCullough for the 3rd straight time. And for the 3rd straight carry, he has substantial yardage. 10, 11, and 9 yards for McCullough in succession.
Good blocks at the point of attack. Chris Perez, 62. He's going to get the kick-out block. DeLan McCullough will just pick his hole now. See 62 driving his man to the back to the outside. That was A.J. Gass. Up front, they're starting to get a little bit of an attitude. Brett McNeil and Chris Perez doing a nice job.
2nd and 1, and why not give it to McCullough again? He was tripped up in the Bomber backfield. Peterson is there.
DeLan McCullough upset with himself for not jumping over the arm of Tyrone Hines. He's the guy who knifed in from the corner.
You yell you had it?
Got a little piece of him. Have to take one more look, and they're going to have to measure this one. They got the first down by the length of the football.
This has been all DeLan McCullough.
You know, and the other thing they like about DeLan McCullough is that not only can he run the ball pretty effectively, but he catches it very well.
Something Corey Philpott was having a difficult time doing. When he lost his starting job, he dropped a couple of passes and fumbled a couple of times in critical situations. That's how McCullough got into the lineup.
Yeah, as Dave Ritchie did say that Corey Philpott was running the ball quite effectively. He just had the dropsies.
The Bombers are going to stick with this till the Eskimos stop it. And the Eskimos reacted well there. The gain is restricted to a yard.
Marcelo Simmons plays this one sort of like a DB. He can fly up here, number 17. Chris Perez is trying to come down, and he gets underneath Chris Perez. You saw him just knife in there and gets his arm on DeLan McCullough. Sometimes you want to take on the hit, sometimes you got to run around it.
Passing situation for Kerwin Bell. Time to throw, goes to the far side. Catch is made, and after extra effort, Simon gets close to a first down. Had to wait for the ball a little bit, and then made a couple of moves to get very close to the first down.
Yeah, G-Roy Simon, give this first down to him. Put it right on his shoulders, because this ball is only about 5 yards deep, and he does it all his own. Charles Anthony one-on-one. Simon almost down on one knee anyway. Marcelo Simmons has a crack at him. Stays inbound.
He beat 2 players to grab a critical 2 yards there.
And he's got his team now within a yard of a first down, and they'll gamble on 3rd and about half a yard.
DeLan McCullough will have the first down. This has been his drive.
Once again, The other drive that the Bombers scored was his drive as well. Kerwin Bell, a quick glance at the forearm notes that he has written down on that pad on his wristband. And you know what? He'll probably look up. Number 20, one way or the other. He'll just number 20. D-Lam McCullough, where is that? Okay, I got a whole section on his plays. I'm going back to him.
All right, he used the ball. He'll put it up this time. Whoa! Rogers couldn't stay in. Made the catch and couldn't stay in bounds on first down. Rogers gets back into the lineup this week. Missed the Toronto game last time.
You only need 1 foot in the CFL. Here comes Rogers to the sideline. I think it's a pretty good call by the officials that were right on the spot. He jumps up in the air, and then when he comes down, he's clearly out of bounds.
With Anthony covering. Bombers have used 3 minutes and 52 seconds on this drive. We're looking 3:17 till halftime. Eskimos on top by 10, 17-7. Kerwin Bell, 2nd and 10. Needs to hit Pater here. Has Simon. Oh, there should be a flag there. I thought. No?
Oh, well, yeah. You know,
I'll reserve judgment for the replay, but I thought he was hammered before he had a chance by Anthony.
And I agree with you in some respects, because I don't think Charles Anthony turned at all to look at the football. I think he just ran right through Simon.
There is a marker down in the backfield. Well, would you throw a flag there, or was I wrong? I do have a lot of support here for a flag, don't I?
Well, Hendrickson just got one, I believe, for yelling at the officials. I mean, whether it was a penalty or not, the Bombers have got to stay disciplined. They want to have any success. I mean, this makes it a lot longer field goal attempt for Troy Westwood. Now, generally speaking, the defensive back has to look back to the football. But now, if that ball arrives to G-Roy Simon and Charles Anthony hits him after that fact, he really doesn't have to. He's not screening.
Well, I'm leaving it to you. You used to play back there.
You know what?
You're really riding the fence. That's not usually like you.
No, and you're right, because that was pretty close. I mean, if anything, it was because he didn't look back and he made contact.
Hendrickson's penalty moves the Bomber field goal tryout to the 45-yard line. That's where Westwood lines up. If he makes it, no harm, no foul. But if he doesn't, he got it. If he does, I'm going to say Hendrickson's in big-time trouble, because the Bombers have taken too many dumb penalties in this one tonight. Dave Ritchie has the lead on Adidas Friday Night Football. One more time on the controversy here in Winnipeg. Should it have been a catch to G-Roy Simon?
On further review, this looks like interference. Now, first of all, Charles Anthony does not look back, but if it's frozen right when the ball touches, see, now he's screened. Look right at his hands right here. He's got his hands up. He has not looked back. He makes contact. The ball doesn't touch G-Roy Simon. But listen, we had to slow it down, freeze it twice to see it. That's pretty close, and the official called it the way they saw it on the spot.
So Charles Anthony got away with one. The Bombers settled for 3 points on a long field goal, and the Eskimos get it back with 2:43 to go till halftime. Played well for Edmonton tonight. Got the heat there and got it away, but Vaughn couldn't hang on. Grant Carter came through. Interesting, he's sackless in 5 games, Carter. And he just about got one there, but he's just missing.
He is just missing, and you call him hurries. Here comes Grant Carter. He's not going to even be blocked. He comes right off the edge. This is called a hurry in the stats. Defense keep their stats. Grant Carter hurries the throw from Nealon Green. Doesn't get the sack, But they'll take the hurries as well, because sometimes they'll lead to interceptions.
2nd and 10, Eskimos. 3 receivers near side. And everybody moved.
Who moved first is the question.
Yeah, we'll find out who started it. Not a bad football evening here in Winnipeg.
I'll tell you something that the Bombers have got to be careful
Legal
about,
procedure,
though.
Edmonton, number 62. Still 2nd down.
After every single play so far, I think Bruce Beaton is the guy they're going to call. See, Grant Carter's allowed to move his arm. See that right arm? You're allowed to do that. You can move your arm. Bruce Beaton can't move his feet like that.
2nd and 15, Edmonton. All the receivers to the near side. Green has Herman. Oh, what a brilliant play. What a great play by Rasheed Gale. Great defense. Because Green did not miss that by much.
And he made the right read, and it's the first time in a couple of games when the blitz has come from Winnipeg that Nealon Green took a shot at beating it down the middle. And I talked about it many times. If you're blitzing, the middle is open. That time, Ed Irby goes down the middle. Nealon Green didn't put quite enough on it. And Rasheed Gale closes in a hurry, recovering from that big hit, and knocks that one down. That's a pretty good play.
They have 6 points written all over it. Eskimos forced to punt. Kellett is in. Rogers awaits. And a block on, and Kellett had to hurry it. It's not deep. Rogers threw a flag there. That was Rogers drawing it as he gambled and took it on the run. Just a 29-yard punt because Kellett was hurried. And Rogers sets the Blue Bombers up with an opportunity to add to some points here. A couple of penalties out there.
Well, they sorted out. I got to go back to the one point that I wanted to make, and one thing that I think that Dave Ritchie should be very concerned about. After every flag hits the ground now, the Bombers are going into the ear of the official, and it's not the captains. It's any player that they're losing their cool. They're losing their composure a little bit. We saw Craig Hendrickson do it a couple of plays ago. They've got to be careful, because this is where you get that extra add-on penalty, abusing the official.
Procedure, Edmonton, no end, decline. No yards, Edmonton, number 90, decline. 1st down, Winnipeg.
Matthews will be a little upset over there listening to that. But the Bombers, with 2:19 on the clock till halftime, have an opportunity here to erase some bad memories from the first half. Winnipeg begins at the Edmonton 53. Little reverse to Stiegel. He's got the speed to turn the corner, and he gets there. 1st down. Couple of extra yards.
Well, Craig Hendrickson's been fired up the last couple plays, and boy, does he ever come up with a huge block to spring Milt Stiegel. He's to the very right of your screen. He'll peel back, and he comes up with a big one right at the point of attack on Tyrone Hines. Watch 59. He comes back like this, curls around, and he is right in the path. Watch this. Here he goes. Let him curl around. Now watch the block on Hines. Pow! Hines has no chance.
Stiegel picked up 15, and the Bombers come up a little shy on a 1st down try there with Dylan McCullough. McCullough has 3. It'll be 2nd and 7. 2:05 to go in the opening half. Lots has happened here in Winnipeg tonight. Second and long, facing Kerwin Bell. He'll put it up, far side, wide open. Leroy Simon at the 1st down, got a block from Rogers, still standing. He didn't get much after the catch, but it was a lot of fun to watch.
Well, he was trying to set up the blocks. He got one block from Joe Rogers, but the pursuit from Edmonton kind of corralled him after that, and he went down. But Leroy Simon's running pretty hard after the fact.
Another 15-yard gain for the Bombers. Time ticking down in the first half. the Eskimos 20 first down. Dylan McCullough ran into 2 Eskimos, but grabbed some yards behind Dave Van Conant.
You know, I think back to that play by G-Roy Simon. He's played pretty well tonight. You know how he made the team? He came in training camp, impressed the coaching staff with his running ability and his speed, but he played in the preseason game against the Hamilton Tiger Cats, beat a corner by the name of Derek Greer twice in that game. Once for 90 yards, once for 50 yards. Derek Greer ended up getting released by the Ticats. G-Roy Simon made the team here.
Critical down for Winnipeg. 2nd and 8. Here's the heat. Bell beat it. There's a flag down this time. Yeah. Coverage on McCullough. And Bell ended up on his backside, too.
No question it was early. I believe it was Cavis Reed.
Forward pass interference. Edmonton number 24. First down, Winnipeg.
You got it, partner. Cavis Reed.
Yeah, no question it was Cavis Reed. He's right at the top of your screen. He's going to break on it. That poor timing here. He hits him right there. Ball's not there yet. Dylan McCullough can't pick up the catch. That's pass interference.
It was poor timing and not an easy catch to make for McCullough. It was a little bit behind him, too.
That's right. Cavis Reed has moved to the short side of the field. Throughout his career, he has always been on the wide side. Things happen a little quicker on the short side.
First down, goal to go Bombers from the 9. McCullough hit initially, turned the corner, and finally forced out by Chris Hardy.
You know, Cavis Reed has really not been the Cavis Reed that we've come to expect to see over the past. He usually comes up with a lot of big interceptions for this team. But I mentioned he plays to the wide side. They're playing with the rookie right now, Anthony Fogel, number 5. The wide side of the field, generally speaking, doesn't see the football as often. So they want to put their experienced corner back into the boundary on the short side of the field, Cavis Reed. But, hey, it changes your footwork, and things happen faster.
2nd and goal to go. Bombers at the 2. Reed. McCullough has the touchdown. Read perfectly. Dylan McCullough. Responsible for the drive. He's picked up 85 yards tonight. And 2 touchdowns.
We got a game, baby.
They've been a little starved for football here in Winnipeg over the last 3 weeks. Fans are having some fun now.
Well, if the second half is anything like the first half, it was worth the wait for these fans.
These two teams do not like each other much. The Bombers have lost 5 straight to the Eskimos. Edmonton has won 3 straight at Winnipeg Stadium. And Bomber fans can think back to the Western Final of 1996 when the Eskimos absolutely hammered the Blue Bombers, and that was the last game that Cal Murphy coached for Winnipeg.
And I think when Dave Ritchie is making up his depth chart for the next week, he's going to erase the pencil on Dylan McCullough's name and start to write it in ink. Dylan McCullough starting tailback, and Corey Philpott showed that he could still play when he was in the lineup, but boy, Dylan McCullough is really making it an easy decision for Dave Ritchie.
On one hand, the Bombers are fortunate to be tied at 17-17 because of the undisciplined penalties that they did take in the early going of this half. But on the other hand, the defense did not give up touchdowns when it looked like Edmonton should be going in for 6 and had to settle for 3.
That's right, and that's what Edmonton will say when they go in at halftime. They'll say, guys, we've got to take advantage of our turnovers. We've got to take advantage when they have dumb penalties and put some points on the board.
Swift kick coming down to the Giz. Out across the 40 to the 42. So Nealon Green will have about 49 seconds to work with. Time for a couple of thoughtful plays here.
The first 2 plays in this sequence for Nealon Green will determine what they do. If they're going to attack and try and come up with a field goal with about 50 seconds left in the game, 49 to be exact, they get a little bit of success on this first down, they're going to go hurry up offense probably and try and kick a field goal. If they get stuffed, get a little conservative, make sure they get out of the half with the tie.
First down, Edmonton. The 41. Green has Vaughn. Vaughn makes a good move to get away from one, and he's wrapped up with Johnson moving in, along with Benny Good.
Terry Vaughn's been kind of quiet in this offense. Ed Hervey has been the guy that Nealon Green has gone to. And we talked about Green having to go to someone other than Terry Vaughn, but when it comes down to clutch time, they'll try to find number 3.
Good for a first down. Green looks to the far side, has Hervey. He broke the tackle. Here's an opportunity for the Eskimos. Hervey lost the ball. It goes to Walters. And Edmonton will get possession with 24 seconds to go.
You know, coaches will always tell you to just keep hustling on a play. Even if you're on the back side, it doesn't really matter. Keep working. Try and get a block. Try and get downfield. The guy catches the ball on the opposite side, keep working. If Ricky Walters doesn't keep working on that play, Winnipeg recovers the football.
20 seconds till halftime. Green missed his primary receiver. It sailed right over his hands.
Well, we mentioned the first 2 plays being the key. Now they've got big success on the first 2. One to Terry Vaughn, one to Ed Hervey. Now Don Matthews wants a timeout to decide what he wants to do on 2nd and 10. You got 15 seconds left. You don't want to mismanage the clock. Take the timeout. You get 1 per half. Use it here. Call a good play, but it's got to be a play that only takes about 5-6 seconds, so you have time to put your field goal unit on the field.
So John Baker is within range here now.
I just got to go back to this hustle by Ricky Walters, because coaches tell you all the time, and sometimes you wonder, like, why do the guy caught it way away from me. If Ricky Walters, who was at least 50 yards away from the play, stopped, he's not standing there when that ball bounces around.
So he sets up the 3 points for sure, or at least the try for 3. And a possible touchdown here by Edmonton maintaining possession.
Absolutely, and it's a big play. And I have to say one thing for Ricky Walters. Happy birthday to his mom, Tanya. He asked me to do that for him.
Well, happy birthday. Is today the day?
Happy birthday for Tanya.
15 seconds till halftime. Green sends most everyone right and looks left to Hervey. An interesting battle down there between Hervey and Brandon Hamilton, stride for stride.
Well, we saw him work on the opposite side on Barry Wilburn. It was the same play. Wilburn got pushed off a little bit, and Ed Hervey scored the touchdown. Nealon Green tried the same type of throw it behind the receiver, but this time they were fighting all the way down, and when Ed Hervey pushed, Brandon Hamilton pulled. See the hand fighting going on? Hamilton staying right in the hip, and this time Hervey couldn't come back to that throw behind.
Baker has a chance to give the Eskimos the lead at halftime. 10 seconds on the clock, and John Baker is in, hitting on 85% of his field goals in his rookie season in the CFL.
John, I asked John Baker, I said, how does a kicker decide that he's going to kick barefoot? I mean, what, did you just forget your shoes one day, show up and say, well, I might as well try it? He said, no, that's not how it happened to me. He said, when I was a kid, I used to play soccer in the backyard with no shoes on. I just run around my bare feet playing soccer. Kind of liked it, and that's how it developed into kicking with his bare foot.
We also talked about him a few weeks ago, coming from Arizona and ending up in Edmonton, which seems a little bit unfair to a barefoot kicker, because Arizona is a little warmer than what Edmonton would be in November. Well, but apparently he has kicked in the cold. I don't know if he knows Eskimo cold, however. High snap. Baker under it. Oh, baby. The Bombers have got horseshoes tonight.
Yeah, Don Matthews can't believe it. Hit it dead on the upright. Dead center.
Saw Dave Cutler, the great Eskimo kicker from years gone by, a couple of weeks ago in Edmonton, as we watch this one more time.
John, Winnipeg Blue Bombers called their timeout. Ice the kicker. It worked.
Anyway, Cutler was the last of the straight-on kickers in Canadian football. And I just suggested to Dave, saw him in the lobby at Commonwealth there, and said, you wouldn't make it in this game anymore. The guys are kicking barefoot in Edmonton.
Well, you
wouldn't stand a chance, Cutler.
You can't kick straight on with a bare foot, I don't think.
No,
you lose a few toes.
You got to be a sidewinder to try it.
Yeah.
And a little silly, perhaps, too. But that's another story. That should do it for the opening half. As Kerwin Bell goes down on one knee, but still a couple of ticks left on the clock. Interesting to say the least as the Bombers hang in for a 17-point tie with the Eskimos. Edmonton didn't capitalize on all its chances, and Winnipeg really did.
Dave Ritchie will say we got to play smarter. Don Matthews will say we got to take advantage of our opportunities.
A couple of veteran coaches end up in a tie on Adidas Friday Night Football. It's been quite a game so far. Hang in for the halftime show with the boys, and we'll be back for the third quarter.
You're watching Adidas Friday Night Football, and we're at the half.
All right, both these teams coming off tough losses, both these teams with some positives in that first half. Now, in Edmonton, there's been an awful lot of concern. A 1-4 start is very un-Eskimo-like. Matt Dunnigan, you've been defending them and preaching patience all along, and I guess they're seeing a little bit of the rewards of that tonight.
You guessed. I know. I'm looking at it, James. This football team is showing us signs of improvement. Don Matthews is going to continually put confidence in this football team and harp on the positive. This young team is riding the emotional roller coaster, which they'll do, but when you see them become a mature football team, they'll be playing 60 minutes. Tonight, Chris, they're playing like a team that's desperate for a win, and so is Winnipeg.
They are desperate for a win, and I like your assessment in terms of a mature football team, because right now the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are not a mature football team. Dave Ritchie likes to attract aggressive people on defense, downright nasty people that are going to headhunt. But you know what the difference in this first half is between winning and losing rather than a tie? The penalty to Maurice Kelly, the penalty to Grant Carter, the penalty to Tommy Europe. All three of them were situations just like as if you had an interception or a fumble. On the positive side, I think we're seeing the emergence of a really good running back on Dylan McCullough. But if this team wants to take further steps, win the division, go on the Grey Cup, you have to eliminate those type of penalties from veteran players. That is what doesn't make any sense to me.
And, you know, technically these teams are both in last place right now, but Winnipeg only 2 points out of a tie for second, and Edmonton only 4 points out of a tie for second, so they're far from out of things yet. 17-17, nothing much to separate these two teams at the break. After this, Rasheed Gale now thinks he's Crystal Gale. 17-17 at the break. Welcome back to the halftime show. There is one other game in the CFL tonight. And you know, out in Calgary this week, they had a little piece of extra equipment for the quarterbacks. They now have to wear those little "Hello, my name is" stickers because Garcia left, and then Dickinson went down, and then Burris went down. And so coming into tonight, the starting quarterbacks, McCoy and Rylance. Not the starter, the backup for Calgary. All sorts of different quarterbacks, different ones in Saskatchewan as well as Sarkisian starts. 0-0, they are just underway. The Stamps trying to improve to 4-2. Saskatchewan 1-4, and they're coming off that brutal 63-17 loss last week to Hamilton. All right, let's talk Mike McCoy. Chris, is he the real McCoy?
Well, I think he just may be because of his background in football. Coming out of University of Utah, Mike McCoy is used to the unique style of the Canadian Football League with the spread offenses, the single backs, nobody in the backfield. He's used to like the logical progressions, where you should go in your first read, your second read, your third read. But more important than that, they have that trio of productivity, Kelvin Anderson, Pitts, and Danielson. Don't think for a minute that that Wally Buono will rely on those guys more than they will Mike McCoy. I think they're going to be fine.
Now, all sorts of problems in Saskatchewan. Reggie Slack gone. Matt, is there any way, what do they have to do to get going, or do they have any chance of getting going? Do they have any weapons at all out there?
Oh, I think they got plenty of weapons, James, and that's the key word, weapons. When you talk about people, Saunders, Daniels, Narcisse, and the list goes on, Farthing, Gulliford, Mayfield, that's a lot of talent right there that Steve Sarkisian is in control of. He just got to find a way to distribute the football. The defense got to pick it up a little bit. I know Cal Murphy's going to have this team ready. There's a lot of weapons there for Steve to use, and he's going to use them tonight, James.
All right. Lots more to come tonight, but we're already looking forward to next week here on the CFL and TSN. Let's have a look at the full schedule, and we can tell you that The two games we have are at the top and at the bottom. Lions and Tiger Cats Thursday night, 7:30 Eastern, the start time of that one. And then on Adidas Friday Night Football, it is the Eskimos once again taking on those Saskatchewan Roughriders, 9 Eastern. Want to see any one of those games? Here are the ticket numbers in your favorite city. Jot them down. Go on out. Thank you, ladies, and welcome back. Well, most seasons, Don Matthews' teams are 4-1 or 5-0 by now and starting to run away with their division. This year, 1-4, very unfamiliar position for Coach Matthews. But he's in this one, tied at 17. Our Greg Musselman spoke with the Eskimos coach.
Well, Don, you must feel a little unfortunate that you're not leading this game. Your team played pretty well in that first half.
Yeah, we had some opportunities that we didn't get converted into the points that we needed. We had some miscommunication there at the end. And I thought we should have been able to get a little closer and kick a field goal, but we're going to get better in the second half.
The Winnipeg running game seemed to be pretty effective out there.
Yeah, it really is, and we've got to shore up our defense.
Good luck in the second half.
Thanks.
And there are your halftime statistics. Rushing yards, not bad on either side, especially Winnipeg. Deal and McCullough emerging, and they have close to 100 already in the game. Besides that, pretty much even all the way across the board. Only 11 yards separating them in total offense. And Chris, let's talk second half now. What do the Bombers have to do?
Well, the Bombers, more than anything else, cannot reproduce their attitude that they had in the first half. Those three major penalties are the exact same thing as 3 interceptions or 3 fumbles. They're just things that destroy momentum and destroy drives. They're going to continue with Dalen McCullough, and that's going to really help the quarterback, Kerwin Bell, in play-action opportunities. But if they reproduce that attitude, they're not going to win this game. Watch them to play a little bit cleaner, a little bit more effective, and more professional, Matt. That's one thing I can promise. How about you? Can you promise anything?
I'm not sure I can with this young football team of the Edmonton Eskimos, Chris. Thanks for putting me on the spot,
yeah,
buddy.
I know.
But I can tell you this, Don Matthews, he said it right there. We're going to get better in the second half. He's always positive, instilling confidence in his young team. They're going to continue to do the same things. But like you said, he's got to get them. And when they get in the red zone, and when they get in the scoring territory, they got to come away with the points that they want, and that's majors, James.
Bombers have to be more professional. Perhaps you could take some of your own advice there, all right? Let the man speak. 17-17 is our score at the break. Bombers and Eskimos, we have a good one going from Winnipeg Stadium, folks. D-Land McCullough found TD Land in the first half. We have ourselves a tie. Second half is coming up.
Okay. You're saying if the kicker misses, you still get a point? Come on.
That's unless they kick it out.
Kick it out? You boys are playing with me now.
No. It's called the rouge.
The rouge?
It means red.
Should we tell him about the 3 downs?
Hey, Coach! Coach!
Nah, I think he's had enough for one day.
They're doing it again!
What's taking them so long?
Guess you're it.
When the going gets tough, the tough get Canadian. The weekend escape. Here's where we get Canadian.
Extreme Sports Series, sponsored by Export A. Go your own way.
Many different people came to Canada to make a fresh start. They built new lives for themselves and their families. They built a nation. That's the story this coin tells.
Alzira Botello's winning coin design reflects the spirit of the pioneers who made Canada home. Look for a new 25-cent Millennium coin each month. Collect them, treasure them, and hold a little bit of history in your hand.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to TSN tonight. A game of consequence for the Toronto Blue Jays this evening as they are currently playing their wild card rivals, the Oakland A's, down at Skydome. This is the first of three between the two teams. Fifth inning, game tied at 3. Roy Halladay out of the contest. Bases loaded. Paul Spoljaric facing Matt Stairs, and the Canadian jacks one. He goes deep to right, first of 2 in the game for Stairs, his 6th career grand slam. 28 round trippers in the season, that made it 7-3. Now to the 8th, A's leading 8-7. Eric Chavez pads the lead. He rips his solo shot. The Athletics go on to beat the Blue Jays by a score of 9-8 tonight. The Boston Red Sox are now tied with Toronto for that wild card lead. The Red Sox, though, are currently leading Seattle by a score of 10-6. If they hang on to the victory there, Boston will take over the AL wild card lead. Oakland, 1.5 back. We will get you back to Winnipeg.
Ready for the third quarter. We can expect anything tonight on Adidas Friday Night Football. Tied at 17.
Don Matthews talking about he wanted to take advantage when they had scoring opportunities. They didn't do it in the first half. Got to convert those into touchdowns.
Second half underway. Here's Henry Williams, ready to go for the Eskimos. Doesn't need much. He's out to the 35. Frustrating first half for Dave Ritchie. He's with Greg Musselman.
Well, Dave, your team tied at this point in time. You seem to regain your composure.
Well, we had a lot of penalties early on, and something happened early on with Mo Kelly. I don't know what it was because I didn't see it. So we just, the penalties kind of gave them some of their points. So we have to come back out and work real hard and cut out the penalties.
Your offense played well, especially Delon McCullough. He was just running very well.
He did a good job. And that youngster that plays quarterback for him is a very good football player. So we're trying to keep him contained, and he's getting out and running a little bit.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay.
Well, he didn't see what happened to Maurice Kelly, but we certainly did, and so did the replay. And Maurice Kelly definitely kicked at Scott Dybert. That's why he's thrown out of the game.
There's the young fella he's talking about that plays quarterback for him.
And there's the guy who got kicked out of the game.
6 yards on first down. It's 2nd and 4 for the Eskimos. The Edmonton 41, Nealon Green airs it out. And Terry Vaughn made the catch on the dead run. Vaughn inside the 20-yard line. Robinson forced him out. That was a beauty.
Starting to get it. He is starting to get it. Nealon Green now twice. The first time it was to Ed Hervey in the first half. Now, they didn't hook up. It was just underthrown. Remember, Rasheed Gale knocked it down. Once again, the Bombers coming with safety blitz and Tom Europe. He's right to the right of your screen. Here comes Tom Europe on the blitz. No safety in the middle. Where do you throw the football? Right down the middle. Terry Vaughn gets to the open area. Don Robinson has no chance. That's how you beat the blitz right there.
50 yards to Nealon Green's #1 target. Eskimos at the 20. Sean Millington down to the 15. Millington has been playing better as an Eskimo than he did as a Bomber in the early going this season. Just 26 yards and 10 carries for Winnipeg. Last week for Edmonton, 10 carries, 55 yards.
That's why Dave Ritchie had to release him. Plus, he had a pretty hefty contract from the Jeff Reinbold days. And Sean Millington at halftime was out running around, stretching out his legs. Some question as to whether or not he'd return. Obviously, he's okay to play.
This will be 2nd and 7. Here's the charge on Green. He looks to the end zone. Not quite. Another drive stalls for the Eskimos. They've had opportunities. Rasheed Gale was covering.
He's playing a good game. Rasheed Gale is returning kicks. He comes from the left of your screen. He's in good coverage.
Whoa.
And he beats Ed Hervey to the football. Gets his hands underneath. That ball is high and outside. But once again, the blitz coming from the Bombers. And Nealon Green recognizing it now and getting rid of that football.
Okay, go ahead, buddy.
John Baker, 3 of 5, hit the post on his last try to end the opening half. Connected from 51 on his first. No doubt about that. A single point for Baker, so he's had a little tough luck.
Yeah, he had that one just before the end of the half, hit dead on the upright, bounced right back. Of course, it's a dead ball immediately when it hits the upright. And just hooked that one. He's got it. He probably went in at halftime, clipped the nails a little bit on the big toe, went back out, and he said, now I've made an adjustment on the toenail, and now, yeah, there it's better now.
No, sliced it. So it's a 1-point game. Eskimos on top, 18-17. Kerwin Bell drove impressively in the late stages of the opening half. One hop that one for his #1 target, Miltstiegel.
Well, the #1 guy in the first half, John, was Deland McCullough. Deland McCullough had a big half, was a very important part of the Winnipeg offense. In fact, when they scored, it was because Deland McCullough was carrying the mail. Great second effort in the first half on that drive. That set up this touchdown.
And he ended up with 2 touchdowns. 18 carries for 85 yards. Hard running for Deland McCullough. On second down, Bell in trouble. Going to the far side. Rogers came up with the ball and was hit immediately by Anthony Fogle.
Well, I guarantee you, Doug Peterson had no idea that Kerwin Bell, watch the stunt here. Peterson's going to end up to the outside. Doug Peterson gets out in space with Kerwin Bell, and in his game plan, he does not think that Kerwin Bell is going to try and beat him to the outside and run the football. That's why he made a beeline for the inside shoulder. Kerwin Bell surprised you a couple of times. He said, wait a minute, he never runs. What's he doing there?
38-99.
He came up short on the strike to Rogers, third down, and Henry Williams awaits Bob Cameron's kick. Takes a bomber bounce. His has been running well on all special teams returns tonight. Thought he might have had one there. The seam wasn't quite ready. It's Adidas Friday Night Football, a 1-pointer in Winnipeg.
Let's get ready to join the party. CFL can catch the ball. Look out, here comes the football. Let's get this series started. Everybody come join the party. Come join the party tonight. Come on, everybody. Let's join the party tonight.
Moon over Manitoba, see it live it. The PGA Championship, 3rd round tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. It's been great so far. We watched Mike Weir.
Yeah.
They're a shot off the lead.
Go, Mike Weir, go.
Tiger Woods is working a stroke back of that. There's a long way to go.
I got
2 rounds.
I got my money on Weir. I'm going with the Canadians.
That'd be terrific. Eskimos, first down. Sean Millington breaks one on another tackle. He's got close to 14 yards. Nice to be home again running in a different uniform. Things are going better for Millington.
Well, maybe he was just trying to get the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to come out and see that he was working on an injury. Because before the half ended, he was out there running around, kind of stretching out his legs. Maybe Dave Ritchie saw him and thought, maybe he's hurt. Well, he's run well in the second half. You know, Dave Ritchie said when he released him, he'll probably become focused again because it may be his last chance over in Edmonton, and that has a way of making a player focused.
Eskimos first down. They pitch it to Rogers, and he lost the ball. I think the Bombers have it. Andrew Stewart.
Did he catch it in the air, though? If he didn't catch it in the air, they're thinking it's a fumble recovery. But that was a forward pass.
A forward pass, right.
Yeah, you can throw it underhand. Doesn't matter. See, that's a forward pass. That's not a lateral. And that ball bounced to Andrew Stewart. That means it's a fumble recovery, but it's not because that's a forward pass. That's just
he didn't make the catch.
No.
Incomplete pass.
No, it's an incomplete pass. And the crowd's booing that
Stewart
call.
had a chance at an interception.
Yeah, that's right. If he catches that before it touches the ground, that's an interception. He's got an interception, but not a fumble recovery.
Early movement, and the flags are down. Here's Nealon Green looking for Bob. Rashid Gale. And nice coverage on Vaughn, and we'll check the infraction back at the line.
Now, Rashid Gale is playing some kind of a game, and I thought Terry Vaughn was about 3 yards offside when he took off.
Offside, Edmonton, number 3, decline.
Now, he didn't give the number of yards he was offside, but you had the right guy.
Yeah, it was number 3, and I'm pretty sure he was 3 yards offside. But either way, Rashid Gale wasn't taking any chances. He didn't know what the call was going to be, so he kept playing like it was a live play, and skies for that ball. Looked like he was catching the alley-oop and going to the basket.
Matt Kellen will kick it to Joseph Rogers. Rogers, a couple on the return, but that's all. We'll follow the Eskimos to Taylor Field next Friday night. This is a critical game. So will that one be, 9:30 Eastern Time. Eskimos Rough Riders on Adidas Friday Night Football. Things aren't going Don Matthews' way so far this season. Nice play action fake by Bell on first down. Throws everyone. Oh! Did he hang on? They say no catch. Rogers made it look good.
And I think Rogers said, good call. Well, he caught it, or he tried to catch it 3 or 4 times. I mean, this is the end of the play. There's a great job just to keep it alive. It's awful tough to tell from that angle. From our angle, it almost looked like you brought it in, but the official was right there.
And Rogers didn't argue.
And he didn't, but, you know, the official had the much better view. He was right down at field level, looked right at it the whole way, and Rogers didn't argue. No catch.
Interesting note there. Bell has Simon, and he was wrapped up quickly by Fogel.
Bell is mad because there was a problem in the pattern. Joe Rogers got out there by G-Roy Simon. They were both standing almost side by side, and no offensive pattern is set up that way. And that's what Kerwin Bell's upset about. Now watch how this ends up. Here's what's going to happen. See how you're going to get 2 receivers in the same area. Here comes Joe Rogers. He's going to kind of curl out there. G-Roy Simon, see how they're standing so close together? They're about 5 yards apart. Doesn't work that way.
No yards on McGizz's return. Bombers have been all over them so far in the second half. 45 on the punt, about 4 on the return. It's Friday Night Football from Winnipeg. Showdown between a couple of great receivers, Milt Stegall of the Bombers and Terry Vaughn of the Eskimos.
Let's take a look at how the super slots match up. I mean, this is know that they're both the go-to guys for both quarterbacks, and here's what they've done so far. 3 attempts to each of them. Milt Stegall's caught the one long one for 22 yards. Terry Vaughn caught all 3. He's got 70 yards, and that YAC yards, Y-A-C, means yards after the catch, and Terry Vaughn's done a nice job running with the football after he has it in his hands. But you know, Milt Stegall can break away at any time.
Remember the touchdown in BC.
Come on, Dick. Come on, D. Come on, D.
Yeah. A 7-yard curl.
7-yard catch and a 100-yard run. Eskimos. 1st and 10 at the 50. Elon Green stands in. And I believe Billington was his target, but the pressure came a little bit late. He might have hurried it a bit, and he fired it into the turf.
Well, Elon Green, we talked about how he's progressing, and he's becoming a passer. It takes a lot of time, but he has gone down the middle on that blitz a couple of times now, and that means he's starting to recognize it.
Those were his last 4, however.
He's just got to hook up a couple more times. Here they come. Vaughn is the target. He's got it. He's gone.
Terry Vaughn beats Brandon Hamilton to the end zone. The charge was on Green. He got it away just at the last possible second. 60 yards, the touchdown. It's a little quiet here all of a sudden.
Well, he's recognizing it, John. And look, they're all coming. All the Bombers are on the full blitz, and Nealon Green knows it. He just has to get rid of the football in time because they can't block them all. He knows where he wants to go. He recognizes it quickly and throws it out in front of Terry Vaughn. Let your athlete run under the football. Terry Vaughn's one of the best at it. Now he's got a bigger edge on Milt Stegall in that little comparison we just saw.
One more tick for Terry Vaughn in the duel with Milt Stegall. We've got a long way to go. And Stegall, it's guaranteed, will figure into this evening a couple more times before it's done. Baker puts it through, and Terry Vaughn has a 60-yard touchdown catch to put the Eskimos on top, 25-17.
See, I guarantee you right now that Terry Vaughn is right here. He recognizes the Bombers up in the blitz formation defensively, and he knows he's got to get down the field in a hurry and give his quarterback a target. See, he recognizes the blitz, knows he's going to have a one-on-one. Now just break out there, use my speed, but the ball was thrown out in front of Terry Vaughn. And you see the nice adjustment. He's going towards the sideline. As that ball floats out over his right shoulder, he makes a nice adjustment on the fly. Here's the matchup. He sees the blitz coming. I got to get open. Now I'm going to adjust to the football. It's thrown out in front. Don Robinson gambled and lost. Terry Vaughn is the big one.
And Winnipeg's number 3, Brandon Hamilton, chased him into the end zone, but it was Robinson that was beaten.
See them all coming. See Doug Hawking coming off the edge. See, he's not blocked. Nealon Green has now recognized that he's not blocked. I know they're coming. I know they're coming from the backside. We can't block them. So now I got to throw the ball quicker. I got to throw it out in front. I just got to hope my athletes will make the play for me. Terry Vaughn comes up with a biggie.
Baker's kickoff. Rasheed Gale will return for Winnipeg. Nice tackle.
Oh boy, it was a great tackle.
It really was.
He's still running.
Terry Ray.
He is still running if Terry Ray doesn't pull him down.
Kerwin Bell has to respond now, Glenn. He had an off week last week. Too many interceptions, not enough completions, a couple of fumbles, and he really has to lead this Winnipeg Blue Bomber team right back to the end zone.
Not real impressive numbers tonight. 7 of 17 for 82 yards, but that's probably part of the reason for that is because Deland McCullough's been a big part of the offense running the football. Now, Deland McCullough's got to continue to be a big part, and they got to get him back involved again. They didn't in the first drive.
Bell has been inconsistent. Deland McCullough.
See, in the first drive, Kerwin Bell on first down tried to throw it. It was incomplete. Second down tried to throw it. That's when the receivers ran the wrong pattern. Now, on first down now, he runs the ball to McCullough. He picks up 7 yards. Now he's in 2nd and 3.
He has some options.
Yeah, and quarterbacks know they have a lot more options on 2nd and 3. You can give it to McCullough, play action.
He'll put it up this time. Wrong again. There's McCullough. And he'll be close to the first down. Ball squirted loose, but well laid as Terry Ray picked it up and thought he might fool someone down there.
Yeah, I thought his forward progress got him the first down. I'm pretty sure it did. Yes, it did. They just signaled it and they'll move the sticks. That's what the beauty of that situation is for Kerwin Bell is that you only have 3 yards to go. You can run the football. You know you're going to keep that time of possession, move the sticks, keep your drive alive, not take a chance of an interception or incompletion. Success on first down, always very important.
McCullough again tries the outside this time. That'll be another Winnipeg first down out near the 50. He is running well and should be over 100 yards by now.
Well, he really got a nice hole at the point of attack. He's going to hit that right side, little jab step. He gets a good seal clock right there by Paul Blackwood to the right of your screen and then downfield. Look at big Mike Mihalik just drive blocking Marcelo Simmons. Mihalik had Simmons on roller skates.
111 yards from McCullough. And add 7 more.
It's not broke. Don't try and fix it. Right now, it's working when 20's got the football.
When the Bombers have run the football effectively, they've posted their 2 victories of the season. In 3 losses, they didn't run the ball well at all.
Hey, key number 1 for us, for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, was run with authority.
McCullough again, and that'll be another first down. Are the Eskimos suspect against the run?
Well, you know, and then you start to think Leroy Blue's back at home, and Dave Ritchie's going to keep pounding it at that front 4 until they stop it. And that's a lot of mentality of a lot of coaches, is when you're running a play, even though you don't want it to become predictable, hey, if they're not stopping it, you're just going to keep running until they stop it. Don Matthews knows that, and he's got to look for his front 4.
3 receivers near side of the field for Kerwin Bell. First down again. He's got his man. Rogers made the catch. Anthony wrapped him up and rolled him out.
You know, Don Matthews looks out onto his defense, and he's got to wonder about a couple things. One is, it's not necessarily a terribly young group, and when you're talking about experience in age, but it's young in experience as Eskimos. Malvin Hunter has 7 years. He's the most experienced, but he's quiet by nature. Cavis Reed has 5 years. After that, you got to count it in games.
McCullough, and he hammered his way through. The names missing on that Eskimo defense, like Pless and Goods playing here for Winnipeg tonight.
That's right. And Leroy
safety,
Blue.
Trent Brown, and of course Blue suspended back home in Edmonton.
That's right, and they're looking for leadership, and they got leaders like Doug Peterson was a leader in Montreal, but he's new to this team. Marcelo Simmons, a leader in Toronto, but new to this team. They're trying to learn how to play together, and they also don't know a whole lot about this Edmonton so-called mystique and the tradition and all that. They're all learning that together, and that's going to take some time for this defense.
That Edmonton mystique has been going for a quarter century. The Eskimos have not missed the playoffs in 27 years. Matthews doesn't want to be the first coach to do so, but he's in a little tough shape even after week 6, because he's got to catch the Winnipeg Blue Bombers somehow or other if he can't post a few victories and grab 3rd spot and be better than the 3rd place team in the East. And right now, Matthews has the distinction of being the first coach in 22 years to lose the Eskimos home opener.
And Don Matthews has to rely on his assistants, guys like Brad Miller, the defensive line coach, to start to teach those new guys like Doug Peterson up front and Tyrone Hines, who is now playing for Leroy Blue. He's got to teach those guys about this Edmonton mystique and how the tradition is there, and how they're very proud of the history of this football team, and then hope that they'll all rally together as a group. When you look at it, just a whole bunch of faces. You almost have to introduce yourself in the huddle when you show up for work. Don Matthews knows he has to go through some growing pains until that happens, until they accomplish that on that defense.
And he's watching a new group in his front 7 give up a lot of yards along the ground to Dylan McCullough. Over 100, and McCullough has carried this team on this drive. It's lasted almost 4 minutes for Winnipeg. Now Bell decides to put it up. He goes to the end zone. Flags are down. Yeah. Robert Gordon was the target. Cavis Reed drew the flag.
Well, it's the second pass interference called on Cavis Reed, and both times it was a good call by the officials. Cavis Reed's got his hands all over G-Roy Simon.
Number 24, first down Winnipeg.
Watch Cavis Reed. Right now, he's basically on the back of G-Roy Simon with his hands across his shoulder pads, and the ball had to arrive there. 2 pass interference calls on Cavis Reed. This one hurts a little more, yeah, because it gets him down to the 1.
So the Bombers get 3 cracks at it from there. And McCullough has his 3rd touchdown of the night. You had to give it to McCullough there. He carried the ball all the way.
And this is when they've had success. Run it to McCullough a bunch of times, throw 1 or 2, and then give it back to McCullough to finish it off. That's the formula that's working for Winnipeg. The only time they haven't scored is when they went away from it.
McCullough has carried the Bombers so far tonight. Winnipeg moves within 2, make that 1 point. We talked about Kerwin Bell having to respond to a nice drive by Nealon Green, and the Bombers have done that. Keelan McCullough has carried Winnipeg into the end zone 3 times on Adidas Friday Night Football tonight. Winnipeg's Keelan McCullough should be tired. He's been running all night, but he has the Bombers within a point. Stay tuned. Following tonight's game for the Turning Point, brought to you by Mr. Lou. Short kick. And the Eskimos come up with it, recovered by Patrice Denis. Keelan McCullough took the Bombers all the way and finished it off with a 1-yard rush. He carried 7 times, Glenn.
7 rushes for Keelan McCullough, the 9 plays, the 1 pass interference call. Time of possession, almost 5 minutes. That'll wear down the defense in a hurry, especially when you're running the football.
Now, Nealon Green will try and counter. Edmonton leading by a point. Millington appeared to be stopped, and he escaped. And after all that, he has about 2.
Tyrone Rogers is upset with himself, but I really don't know why. I mean, he did almost everything he could humanly possible to get Millington down. Tyrone Rogers going to come up here with 1 hand. He almost drags down Millington. He's really got the fight past the big block, and he just blows past Keesham Elmishtu, the rookie in the line at center. Dominates him. Almost makes a tackle with 1 arm.
Make it a 1-yard gain, 2nd and 9. Green will put it up. Same play. Same receiver. Could be the same result as Vaughn is still standing. Inside the 15. It looked almost identical.
Almost identical, and I guarantee you it's about time that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers get out of this blitz mode. He's the inside receiver going right down the middle. Again, no free safety in there. Andre Strode was covering his man. He's coming back to try and help on the tackle, but Tom Europe out of the middle. And sooner or later, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are going to get out of that type of defense, because all of a sudden, Nealon Green is recognizing it.
51 for Vaughn to set the Eskimos up with the Bomber 12. Millington running well tonight in green and gold.
You know, this is the beauty of having a veteran. Rasheed Gale in one-on-one. First of all, Gale makes his mistake by giving Vaughn the inside position. He played on an outside shoulder, and if you don't have a safety in the middle, there's a ton of room down the middle of the field. Terry Vaughn will take advantage of that in a hurry and eat you up.
5 catches, 181 yards for Vaughn. Green look to the corner, no one home. Terry Vaughn has been almost perfect tonight, hooking up with Nealon Green. And he's winning the showdown, as we showed you before.
The super slots, 5 of 5 for Terry Vaughn. A couple of big plays, and look at the yards after the catch. He's catching that post pattern, taking off, running with it, and Milt Stiegel's been kind of at 1 catch for a long time. Well, for the 3 quarters so far. Terry Vaughn, that's the beauty of having the veteran in your lineup. Recognize the defense and can make you pay.
The Eskimos, however, settled for another 3 when 7 looked like a distinct possibility. And that time, no mistake. John Baker gives Edmonton a little more pad. Following tonight's game, the TSN Turning Point will be brought to you on behalf of Mr. Lube, doing it right before your eyes. Matthews will be a little distressed at the fact that the Eskimos haven't made it to the end zone a couple more times tonight. They've had opportunities inside the 25 and settled for 3s.
Well, we got to start giving some credit to that defense that has given up some big plays in Winnipeg, but like they said, they're hanging around. When they get in the scoring zone, they're stepping it up. But Gene Gaines, who puts the game plan together defensively for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, will likely start to switch things up a little bit. Go back to the Montreal sort of game plan that last week beat the Edmonton Eskimos, showing the blitz and then dropping out of it, playing a lot of zone coverage. Because the blitz has been burned a couple of times by Terry Vaughn now.
Baker booms this one, and it rolls right out of bounds. That's a couple tonight that Baker hasn't been able to keep between the lines.
And again, good field position for Kerwin Bell to take over at the 45-yard line.
Dylan McCullough has 3 rushing touchdowns so far tonight and lots of time to go with a minute remaining in the third quarter.
Well, we saw Terry Vaughn going hard and coming up with some big plays. He's ahead. Now it's Milt Stiegel's turn. We got the super slots matchup for you. Milt Stiegel's got a chance now with the ball to try and get back in that race.
#1 receiver in the CFL at this stage, and Stiegel doesn't get a chance. Loose football. Touchdown Edmonton coming up. Tyrone Hines. Kerwin Bell lost it, and Hines found it. 38 yards for the touchdown.
I believe it was Robert Brown who's going to make the hit. It's from the backside, and when the quarterback drops back, he's looking to the wide side of the field. Robert Brown is right here, is going to make the hit. The second circle. He's going to make the hit. He gets right through the middle of the line between Dave Van Conant and Brett McNeil. He makes the hit. That knocks the ball out of there. Hits the turf. Tyrone Hines picks it up. And he was not in the throwing motion.
Kerwin Bell has had some fumble problems. And Baker gets a chance to add one more. Tyrone Hines getting a chance to play a little bit with Leroy Blues sitting at home watching.
That's as far as he's run in a game ever.
You think he's out of breath?
Yeah, well, he's going to go over and get that oxygen in the middle, because this is defensive linemen run about 5 yards on every play. It's a lot of contact up there, but they don't often have to run this far.
Easy scoop, too, Glenn.
Yeah, he picked it up like a shortstop, takes it in. Tyrone Hines, that's a lot of running for him.
Kerwin Bell is absolutely dejected on the other side while Hines catches his breath on the Eskimo bench.
He was lying on the field for quite a while after that play. Obviously, when you're giving up 10 points on turnovers, you're not only not winning the game for your team, but you're also part of the reason you're losing it. You know, and there's a difference. You don't have to necessarily be the part of the squad that goes out and wins it, but you never want to be the part that loses it. Does that make sense?
I think I've got it. All of a sudden, what you're saying is the Eskimos were only up by a point with 2 quick scores. They're up by 11. It's 35-24, and a little more breathing room for Matthews on the far side.
The only good news for Kerwin Bell is he gets the ball back right away.
Rasheed Gale. And out to the 40. Bell has been dogged by inconsistency. 16 of 28 for 156 yards. 2 interceptions and 2 fumbles last week in a less than glorious loss to the Toronto Argonauts.
A little bit of rotation going on up front. Also for the Edmonton Eskimos, with Robert Brown after the big hit sitting on the bench now. They'll go and put in Justin Ring will get a little playing time, as will Eric Johnson up in the front for number 55.
They go back to McCullough. A marker is down. McCullough out to the 55, and we'll check the infraction. I would bet it's against the Bombers.
Looks like it's going to be holding.
So that one won't count for McCullough's total.
Winnipeg, number 4, first down repeater.
It's Paul Blackwood.
He's working on Tyrone Hines, guy who just ran all that way with the football for the Edmonton touchdown.
This should be the last play of the third quarter.
Well, they need a big one. I mean, Winnipeg needs to get back in this game with a big play, get some momentum.
First and 20, McCullough again. Oh, my, he's running so well tonight. More than halfway to what he needed, which was 20 yards. He's out to the 42, and that's the end of the quarter. The Bombers are leaving it all up to McCullough, but they're down by 11 after 3 quarters in Winnipeg.
You're watching Adidas Friday Night Football, and we're at the quarter. Brought to you by 1-800-HI-IT'S-ME. It's the cheapest way to call. Collect.
Welcome back. Duffy, Dunnigan, and Schultz here. And, you know, before the game, we talked at length about Milt Stegall and how he was becoming the go-to guy in Winnipeg. Well, it looks like Nealon Green has found a go-to guy out there in Edmonton, hasn't he?
He really has. And in this third quarter, James, Terry Vaughn has been Nealon Green. He's been in his face. He's been in his ear during the huddles. He's made key plays. Here he reads cover 0, and he just takes it to the distance and sparks this Edmonton Eskimo team. Don Matthews talked about it going out of the half. Hey, we got to get the majors. We got to put the points up on the board. Again, you've got Terry Vaughn coming off the ball, attacking, closing the cushion, running away from the defender and making things happen, putting his team in another scoring position. The Edmonton Eskimos are capitalizing on the field position that Terry Vaughn has given them. Nealon Green is looking for Terry Vaughn whenever he can right now, James.
Now, on Winnipeg's side, we're finding out perhaps why they cut Sean Millington because of Deland McCullough.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind that the one issue that they have to be proud of is they've established a running game with Deland McCullough. Where does he come from? I mean, really more than anything else in a league that passes, you still have to be able to run the football. And this is acceleration, a decision process. We saw last night Thomas Haskins has merged as a great running back. Well, Deland McCullough, he's a newfound threat for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and it's so important as it gets colder in that city to be able to run that football on that ground each and every game, James.
All right, one other game in the CFL tonight. Calgary taking on Saskatchewan. Let us show you what's happening there. It's all Stamps so far. 15-3 your score. Mike McCoy with an 11-yard TD run. He's the starting quarterback tonight for the Stamps. William Hampton running another one back for a TD. Second one of the year off an interception for him.
Who's quarterbacking the Stampeders tonight? The real McCoy?
The real McCoy.
They have a 15-3 lead.
Well, these guys have coming into this game. One of the matchups we're going to watch is Milt Stegall on the 2 halfbacks, Terry Ray and Charles Anthony. You see him right there in your screen, and they've been doing a pretty good job because we haven't heard a lot from Milt Stegall. And that's saying a lot when you're holding the #1 receiver in the league in a game. You're doing something.
His time is now. But McCullough gets the call on 2nd and 5, and he turns it into a first down.
How did he get out of that one?
I thought he was nailed after a gain of 1.
Well, when we look at the numbers in the third quarter, you got to think a lot of the rushing yards goes right to number 20, right down there.
He covered it all up.
161 rushing yards. Those 2 turnovers really hurt the Bombers.
It's time for Milt, not Jonathan Livingstone, to step forward here now.
Yeah.
Kerwin Bell down the sidelines. Tight coverage from Cavis Reed on Robert Gordon.
Well, I guess because Milt Stegall's been covered up down the field, Kerwin Bell's had to go to other receivers. Here's what's happened to Milt Stegall. This time it's Terry Ray's turn. Wait for him to make his break, stay right on the upfield shoulder. I mean, that's blanket coverage. Can't go into that one, so now we got to go to the wide receiver. Longer throw, tougher to get it in there. Robert Gordon can't come up with it, and Cavis Reed had his man. So right now, that Edmonton secondary has stepped it up a notch.
2nd and 10, Winnipeg. Bell goes to the short receiver. Joseph Rogers, I'm not talking about stature. He was coming underneath.
Yeah, well,
comes up short.
Yeah, well, he is short, too, at 5'9" for a football player, but Now let's take a look at Milt Stegall. This time it's Charles Anthony playing a little zone. He passes him off to the inside safety, which is Chris Hardy. He takes his zone. So Milt Stegall's kind of doubled up with 2 players in the zone defense. That forces Kerwin Bell to dump it underneath. Right now, a lot of attention being paid to Milt Stegall. That's why Kerwin Bell is being forced to go to other receivers. Exactly what the Edmonton defense wants to do.
Cameron is in. And Henry Williams won't have a play, or will he? It takes an Eskimo bounce. Thought it was going out. But well placed by Cameron because the Giz had nowhere to go.
Yeah, Cameron kind of put a little backspin like he was approaching the green there. Brought it back. So now it's Terry Vaughn's turn. We talked about the matchup. Milt Stegall, shutout on that series. Terry Vaughn's had a couple of big plays back-to-back, 2 series. So let's see if Terry Vaughn can keep his roll going. 5 of 181, 1 touchdown.
Not a bad night.
Very close to another touchdown. Ended up getting a field goal out of it.
And he's got a quarter to go.
Yeah. Last time he had a big game was week 2. Edmonton won that one. Their only win.
Millington. A power run. Grabbed by Philip Curry, number 53, and Benny Goods. Not far away.
Well, it'll be interesting to see now on this play in about 2nd and medium, 2nd and 6, what kind of defensive strategy that the Bombers elect to go with. The key will be Tom Europe. Where Tom Europe lines up. If he lines up deep, they're not going to send him. They've been burned a couple of times.
Green has time, and he has Bond. 3 Bombers arrive, and Bond will have enough for the first down on 2nd and 5.
Well, this time Tom Europe dropped way off. He was way deep. You see Tom Europe, no blitz from Tom Europe on this play. Drop way off, stay in the middle of the field. Unfortunately for the Bombers, Don Robinson took the same approach. Gave Terry Bond way too much room on the play. He knew he had safety help that time from Europe. He could play a little tighter. Terry Bond just curled it up in front of him.
Another Edmonton first down. A fake to Millington. Green tries the left side himself.
You know, you always want to know, receivers love to get the football, and that goes without saying. And Terry Vaughn's had his chance getting the football, but Terry Vaughn also can do some pretty good things without the football. And this time he's going to cut Grant Carter, slow his pursuit to the football. That's not easy. You got to go down there, cut the big man, slow him down so he can't get involved in the play. Sacrifice your body on Grant Carter so that maybe you can line up again next time and catch one.
2nd and 3. Eskimos from the 32. Green will put it up. And there it is. And Bond will bring it down. Tough guy to tackle, too. Tom Europe had him wrapped up, and Vaughn escaped for another few yards.
Terry Vaughn went into the huddle and said, okay, I had Grant Carter on the last play. Now, Chris Morris, it's your turn. I'm going to go catch one. Chris Morris, good feet, good hands, and here goes Terry Vaughn. See, he blocked Carter on the last play. This time he's got to go out there and catch the football. Good balance afterwards, too. Pretty good yak yards for Mr. Vaughn.
Eskimos taking time off the clock. It's Vaughn again. More of those yak yards.
Well, you know when they do offensive players of the week?
Pretty good chance, don't you think, number 3?
I think Terry Vaughn is making a pretty good argument. Should the Edmonton Eskimos go on and win this football game? I mean, here he is one more time. We'll just call it the Vaughn drive, whether he's blocking or whether he's catching it.
He has 8 receptions for 218 yards, and he's driving Gene Gaines crazy right now. Sean Millington.
It is tough for the defensive coordinator, John, and Gene Gaines now has to figure out a way to double team Terry Vaughn or give him some extra help, just like they're doing to Milt Stegall. when the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have the ball. So now Gene Gaines has got to do that, but when he does that, he's taken someone out of his run support. And that's where Sean Milligan starts to become a factor. It's tough on the defensive corner when you got a guy hot like Terry Vaughn.
2nd and 1. Easily done for Millington.
See, there's a couple of schools of thought. You know, Gene Gaines could start saying, okay, now what I got to do is I got to play more zone defense because Terry Vaughn is burning us when we play man. He's talking to one of the best cover guys in CFL history, and Les Brown.
Turnover defense.
So now he's got to do that. You play more zone, you take your linebackers out of the box. Take them out of the box, they're not as quick to run support. Nealon Green and Millington can come involved now.
Nice drive for the Eskimos, continuing the first down for Bomber 37. And now Edmonton slides a little more effectively to the run.
Yeah, and this is what Millington will see. He's going to see the football more. They got to start widening those linebackers, loosening up their splits. When I say splits on the line of scrimmage, that's where the one lineman lines up. Then he's got about 3 feet until the next one lines up. The holes become bigger when you spread out the defense. That's when you get creases from the running back position. All set up because Terry Vaughn is having a night.
Millington has 63 yards. Vaughn has another one. Chance for the touchdown. He'll get it. Terry Vaughn, yes. Oh, baby. Milt who?
Wow.
Who was the leading receiver in Canadian football heading into the week?
Well, it's Milt Stegall, but
who is number 1 now when you add up all these yards tonight?
It's number 3. Oh, my goodness, he is having himself a game. This is a career game. A lot of receivers don't get this many yards or opportunities in a season. Terry Vaughn doing it all, and he's doing it after he catches the football. Great moves in the open field. Wow, what a game. And we're not done yet.
8:11 to go, and the Bombers have a big-time problem now.
Terry Vaughn was very close to signing a contract this year with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. He told me he was thinking very hard about whether or not to sign in Saskatchewan. Apparently they gave him a very good offer, or signing in Edmonton. He said the difference was he felt pretty good about Don Matthews.
He's feeling pretty good about his choice with the Eskimos, who move out in front of the Bombers 42-24. It's Friday Night Football.
Terry Vaughn again recognizes blitz. See, he's looking inside to the safety, and they try it one more time. This time Terry Vaughn hooks it up. Don Robinson, for 3 plays, whenever they ran the safety blitz, Terry Vaughn went deep into the hole in the post. So Don Robinson plays off him. Terry Vaughn hooks it up and then beats him after he catches the football.
Rashid Gale, and they tried to reverse. The Eskimos have a chance for the touchdown and might get possession of the football at the 10-yard line. It looks like it's Edmonton ball.
Sure is.
Bombers tried something to try and reignite this team. The reverse didn't work, and Vaughn gets another chance on offense.
It was an attempt by Dave Ritchie to get the football to Milt Stegall. He hasn't been able to do it offensively, so he tried to do it on the kick return, but Rashid Gale put it up in his face mask. Bounces off then, and then it's the last guy to touch it to go out of bounds, and Terry Ray looked like he's the guy who touched it. Really not Milt Stegall's fault. That ball was up in his face mask on the toss. That's something that in practice you only work on it about 3 times. 3 not enough, obviously.
Obviously, you need a little more practice.
And the Edmonton Eskimos have the opportunity now to ice this one.
42-24, Edmonton leading Winnipeg. The Eskimos set up at the 11-yard line now. It was close at halftime. A 1-point game. Nealon Green may take out himself. He's got the corner. And they call it a touchdown. Did he just slap the referee on the butt?
He said, good call. I was in the end zone. Thanks very much.
Didn't make it by much.
Boy, did he accelerate away from Grant Carter. Wow, he took off. Now, everyone talks about, you talk to the defenses that have played against Nealon Green, Watch when he starts running. Now, Grant Carter has an angle. Watch how he runs away from him. Carter has to dive. That's great speed, and then Brandon Hamilton throws him into the end zone.
Actually, there's an assist by Hamilton on the touchdown.
And then
he threw him in.
Green gets up, slaps the official, and says, hey, good call.
I thought it was kind of cute down there, number 56.
Yeah.
Had a big look of surprise on his face, I'm sure. And Dave Ritchie, a look of despair.
Yeah. Rains and pours.
48-24 now. Baker will make it 49. A lot of talk about the great job that Vaughn is doing, but here's a rookie quarterback who's got it done for Edmonton tonight. Nealon Green into the end zone.
Adidas Friday Night Football next week. Edmonton and Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan's getting beat right now in Calgary. Edmonton with the big lead.
Added value test on that one too, Glenn. It'll be available on another channel. You can still hear the game and see it, but have access, the chance to watch the game and be interactive at the same time. Find out which channel is available. Check in at our website, www.tsn.ca, or phone TSN, or your local provider is the channel selection in your area.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah. I'd like to try that, except we'll be working.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, yeah, that work thing. That sounds fun.
Well, the Bombers have self-destructed. They've allowed 32 points in the second half and scored 7. So make the score 49-24 and make believers of a lot of people about Nealon Green as a quarterback.
Yeah, and you know, they just couldn't stop Terry Vaughn in the second half. They couldn't stop Ed Hervey in the first half. Ed Hervey had a big game in the first half. Vaughn took over.
Catch-up time. Here's Dylan McCullough. But it's tough getting it all back on the run. He's got 15 more out to midfield.
You know, and Nealon Green has grown in this game by leaps and bounds. I mean, and we talk about how he, at the beginning of the game, had to learn quickly. Well, no more time for being a rookie for Nealon Green if this team was going to start winning games. He learned a lot in this game tonight.
McCullough seems to be the only weapon the Bombers have right now. That's another first down. Halftime, it was even 17-17. And then the floodgates opened.
Yeah, the floodgates opened, and we just take that 18 and that 14 points. And
How many is that?
We'll just add it up. That's 32. Good. 32 points. Add that up and give them all to Terry Vaughn, pretty much.
Simon makes the catch. Anthony forked him out.
Well, G-Roy Simon can do the math on that in a hurry, and he can figure out that his team is down by a bunch. They're going to keep the hurry up going and just know that Edmonton's playing off, making them throw it underneath. Delon McCullough is having a night. That's the positive thing for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, but they couldn't stop Vaughn. They couldn't stop Nealon Green.
Finally grounds it. He is not mobile, and he has a little difficulty with this rush.
Well, he's not mobile, but he looked pretty strong on this play. He fought off a couple of would-be tacklers. There's Gallus. Eric Johnson had a crack at him, and then Doug Peterson almost gets him, and then finally he says, yeah, I can't do this anymore.
Maybe I shouldn't have said mobile. He didn't look smooth out there. He didn't look Nealon Green smooth.
Oh, no.
That's not his strength. Bell is a pure passer. His problem tonight, he hasn't been able to get it to his favorite target. He's thrown a couple of those. Intercepted by Marcelo Simmons. Bell is incensed, and there's a marker down.
Going against Edmonton, he might get another crack at it. Bad read by Kerwin Bell because he didn't see Marcelo Simmons in there, but it may not cost
offside,
him.
Edmonton, number 94, second down repeated.
Doug Peterson offside.
22,454 here to watch Dave Ritchie's Bombers homecoming after 3 weeks away. First half, not bad. Second half, big problems.
Yeah, it was a big problem. They had trouble on defense. They went with blitzing Tom Europe. Nealon Green made him pay. Terry Vaughn made him pay. And Kerwin Bell just hasn't been able to get the passing game going.
The fumble hurt.
Yeah, the fumble hurt. He's thrown the interception to Chris Hardy early in the game. That hurt, put him in field position. And he really hasn't got on track with Milt Stegall. And when you can't get Milt Stegall going in your offense in Winnipeg, it's going to be a long night.
4:51 remaining in the final quarter. Bell stands in. He had the pass on the money for Robert Gordon, and he couldn't squeeze it. Perhaps a little high, but I thought catchable.
Yeah, it was catchable, but when you receivers go into the post pattern, going inside into the middle, they really like to see that ball down in the stomach area. I mean, if you can throw it in there hard, it's a lot easier catch for him, obviously, because it was tipped a little bit at the line as well. So it would have been that much more difficult of a catch to get it in there, but you throw that one hard and low, they have a better crack at it.
Third down. Last chance to hit the end zone for Bell here. Turned him the wrong way. And another drive ends in failure for Kerwin Bell.
Just hasn't got the passing game going. I mean, trying to throw behind, something Edmonton had success with, couldn't do it.
Has a rifle for an arm. He hasn't been able to connect effectively tonight. It's all but over with the Eskimos on top, 49-24.
Adidas Friday Night Football is brought to you in part by Gatorade. Is it in you?
It was a great first half. The home team fizzled in the second, and the Eskimos have come on strong. That's the story in a nutshell. There's more to it than that, of course. Nealon Green has played well. Terry Vaughn has caught most of the passes thrown his way.
That might be the first one they went at him, and he didn't catch. That one just outside, he couldn't come up with it, but I think that's the first one they've tried to throw to him that he didn't hang on to, or he didn't have a chance to catch.
Nealon Green has been a big part of the story tonight. Everyone knew he could run after week 2. There were questions about whether he could read defenses effectively at times, but he seems to have done a pretty good job of that here tonight. High again, almost picked off. That's been the Bomber night. Nealon Green, not a bad evening of reading the defense. 355 passing, 2 touchdowns, and a nice goose egg over there.
Yeah, Kerwin Bell he struggled. 104. He never got the passing game going. D-Lam McCullough had a big game, but you need more than that in the CFL. You need to throw the football. Kerwin Bell couldn't get it done, and oh boy, Vaughn.
Yeah. But you know, when your running back goes for 168 yards, you should be closer than 25 points.
Yeah,
don't you think?
You should be. You should be. But you got to punch it in too, and you got to respond. And they just couldn't find an answer for Terry Vaughn.
Joseph Rogers ready to return, but he won't get the opportunity. Matt Kellett takes it out of the end zone and gives a couple away. Well, the Bombers have been on the road for a bit because of the 13th Pan Am Games. A huge success here in Winnipeg. 18 days of sun and fun, and the city of Winnipeg and the province of Manitoba should be congratulated for being great hosts. Glenn, a couple of good stories. Stubby Clapp, the Canadian baseball team. The legacy here at Winnipeg Stadium is that scoreboard, the big Sony scoreboard in the north end zone. And one of the keys to the success of the games for me was the Guess Who reunion here.
Oh, they're back together.
Cummings, the boys are back. Burton Cummings, Randy Bachman, Jim Cale, and Gary Peterson.
Yeah.
And his greatest ever rock and roll band played here at the closing ceremonies.
Well, congratulations to Winnipeg for a super job hosting those games.
Kerwin Bell has McCullough. And we're into the final 3 minutes now. You know, in the early going, first half, the Eskimos couldn't punch into the end zone and settled for a lot of field goals. But they responded well in the second half and are in control of things here. It's Adidas Friday Night Football, and it's been all Eskimos in the second half. We talked about the Eskimo keys early.
Well, find another target was our first key. And if you remember in the first half, Ed Hervey had a big first half. 67 yards, had the touchdown. Then Vaughn took over. When Ed Hervey was having success, Winnipeg went to covering Vaughn one-on-one. And when you do that, you can put up some big numbers on him. Stymie Stiegel, yeah, did that one for sure. 1 catch, 22 yards. That's huge. And Gizmo Williams in the first half had some return yards that gave them good field position. And that can give your offense a lot of confidence.
Yeah, they weren't all long returns, but one of 24, another for 17, and it just gave Nealon Green a little more field, or a little less field than he had to go over. More field to work with. Here's McCullough.
Well, I've been real impressed with Nealon Green. I mean, McCullough's had a good game in a losing effort, but I think back to the development of Nealon Green and you know, talking coming into this game about how he had to become a passer. I talked to Andrew Stewart, defensive lineman for Winnipeg, coming in. Andrew told me, you know, if we make him a pocket passer, we win the football game. No question about it. Well, there is going to be some question now. You think back to that game against the Hamilton Tiger Cats, they decided to blitz the safety all the time. In fact, they did it 17 times with Rob Hitchcock, and Nealon Green could not handle it. He just simply didn't know how to handle the blitz. He didn't know how to read it and get rid of it, and it was really an embarrassing loss for the Edmonton Eskimos. He learned a lot from that night, and he learned a lot early in the first half and made the Bombers pay in the second.
Wrapped up and dragged to the turf by Malvin Hunter. Kerwin Bell down again. Well, Don Matthews kept telling us that Nealon Green was getting better every game and just learning a little bit more about reading defenses. He showed it tonight. Thought Benny Good's comments were pretty apropos. He said, Green is the fastest quarterback I've ever seen.
Yeah. Oh, he can run. And he's showing now that he can start to learn the passing game a little bit as well.
McCullough. Short of the first down by a bit.
Well, the other thing we talked about for this Edmonton Eskimo team was the leadership factor. Nealon Green had shown a lot of flashes of running ability and stuff like that, but he really hadn't emerged as a leader, and he's starting to do that. You see how he starts to direct traffic, starting to read the blitz. He's taking more control of the huddle, and, you know, that is infectious in your huddle. You start to follow a guy now. You start to feel good about it. You start to feel confident that every time you touch the football offensively, you have a chance to punch it in the end zone. That's what this Edmonton team needed to develop, both offensively and defensively. Defensively, they still got a little work to do. Offensively, starting to come around, looks like.
2:17 to go. Another one for Vaughn. And 4 yards after the catch, he's coming all the way around here. And he's got Green in front of him throwing or getting ready to throw a block. Vaughn out to the 35, and that was kind of fun to watch.
Well, Green threw a block and then went over and said, yeah, I don't mind blocking for you. You're having a night. Little hitch pass, and Vaughn's going to bring it all the way back to the other side of the field. And you got to find number 15. Because he sees Vaughn coming. He said, all right, now I got to get down there and make a block for this guy. Here's 15. Watch Nealon Green, lead blocker on Brandon Hamlin. He'll put his head down in there. Why not? Kick him out of bounds.
Took him out of the play, and Vaughn has a few more yards for his total. Another first down for the Eskimos at the Bomber 34. Millington has run well for Edmonton as well this evening.
You know, some people may be asking right now, back in Edmonton with a 49-26 lead, why do you think Nealon Green may still be in the football game? Well, I'm going to tell you why he's still in the football game, because this is a young quarterback. Young quarterbacks need reps. Doesn't matter if you got a big lead or you're down. You need the reps. Every single rep, you could learn something new. See something different from a defense. Something different from your offense. Very important to get them. That's why Nealon Green stays in the football game.
Trying to take some time off the clock here now. Down to 137, and Millington has 6 more.
Well, let's see. What are we going to do with the Adidas game ball? Let me see.
You could give it to Nealon Green.
Yeah, well, he had a good one. But
you could give it to Sean Millington.
Yeah, let's just give it to this guy. Let's give it to this guy right here.
Not
Terry Vaughn.
Millington in a comeback game against his old team in Winnipeg. Has to be a little gratifying. And he gets to carry the load again. Down to the 5-yard line, Sean Millington.
Well, it's one that you'll want to get a copy of the tape and put it in your trophy case. I'm talking about the night that Terry Vaughn had. Big touchdown reading the blitz there, and then he went right back at it. Little curl, and then runs after the catch. Another touchdown here. A highlight reel game for Terry Vaughn.
And on the topic of highlights, they'll all come your way on Sports Desk when we're done. Sean Millington, submarine. 51 seconds remaining. A long night for the Bombers in their homecoming. Dave Ritchie, angry last week. He got a better effort from his team in the first half this week.
Well, the motion was up, but then they made some stupid penalties in the first half, and that's what you don't want to see. It didn't cost them in the first half, and then defensively, they had some breakdowns. They gambled and lost on the blitz package. Terry Vaughn made them pay, and they just couldn't recover from it. Kerwin Bell couldn't respond.
4 seconds off the clock as Millington hangs in there.
You know,
and hangs on.
Now this is just frustration now. These guys are frustrated. He knows it. They couldn't stop Terry Vaughn.
And he thought he had it together a couple of weeks ago when we watched the Bombers destroy the Lions in Vancouver. What a great night for Kerwin Bell. In the last 2 games, it hasn't worked out that way. A team record for Terry Vaughn. 10 catches, 273 yards, 3 touchdowns. So how many yards per catch is that?
I don't know. Who is your new 10? Oh, wait a minute. That's 27.3. Who is your new leader in the CFL in receiving?
I would think he has passed Milt Stegall by about 50 yards tonight. Millington finds the end zone. And gratification for an ex-Bomber cut loose by Dave Ritchie 2 weeks ago.
And that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. And Don Matthews gave Sean Millington the football about 7 times in a row in that series to give it to him. That's gratification for Sean Millington. Dave Ritchie knows it, and it just...
Yeah, he really shoved it down.
It really,
it
hammers this loss home to Dave Ritchie. That's all it does. And you know what? Don Matthews has been on the wrong side of a lopsided game like this in this season against Hamilton. So he doesn't feel bad for a minute about this score.
Well, what goes around comes around in this game. And
no question.
Whammo, one more. It's 55-26 on the scoreboard.
Dave Ritchie put him in pads during the week. They were very aggressive in practice, did a lot of one-on-one and hitting drills, and maybe warmed down a little bit.
Well, you never know that, do you? But that's a guess, right?
You're not second-guessing the strategies, and you know they're going to go back to the drawing board. And bottom line is, whatever your strategy during the week, if you can't stop a receiver from getting close to 300 yards, and
a lot of that in the second half, really.
Exactly, in catches, and you're giving up 39 points in the second half. Not going to win many.
Sean Millington, 17 carries, 83 yards. He only had 14 yards in the first half. So Sean Millington comes on and says hello to his former fans in Winnipeg. You'll watch Terry Vaughn catch a few on Sports Desk with
yeah,
Dutchie and Gino Retta coming up next.
Well, not all bad for Dave Ritchie. One thing he can hang his hat on now is he knows he's got a running game.
to rediscover Stiegel, and Kerwin Bell has to get better. Dylan McCullough still running hard on a return there with just 5 seconds to go.
But I guarantee you that's what you do. You go back and you try and pull some of the positives out of a game like this, and Dylan McCullough will be one of them. I mean, really ran the ball well, ran it effectively. Dylan McCullough is something that Richie will be able to hang his hat on next week. No, he has a running game. Now he has to work back on his passing game.
Bombers have 5 seconds to get off the clock, get out of here, get to the dressing room, and think about next week. Winnipeg plays in Calgary. Oh! The setup was there. Rogers made the catch and hung on. So the Bombers go on to Calgary. Don Matthews takes the Eskimos into Saskatchewan against the Rough Riders in Week 7. Time now for the TSN Turning Point.
Well, Terry Vaughn had a huge night, but we're going to give the TSN Turning Point to a defensive player. Robert Brown's going to make the hit. Tyrone Hines is going to pick up the fumble and rumble into the end zone.
38 rumbling yards for Hines. He played in relief of Leroy Blue tonight, and he has a touchdown. Cash donation we made to the Coaches Association of Canada for the training and development of Canadian coaches in amateur sport on behalf of TSN and Mr. Lube. Mr. Lube, doing it right before your eyes. Well, they've turned the lights out on us here. Fireworks. Not much to celebrate for the Bombers, but the Eskimos have found their offense in a thrilling victory for Edmonton fans, 56-26.
So a huge second half for the Eskimos, huge game for Terry Vaughn. By the way, if you're wondering if he was close to a CFL record for receiving yards, fell about 80 short. Hal Patterson had 338 for the Alouettes way back in 1956. One other game going on in the CFL tonight. The Stampeders leading Saskatchewan 15-5 to score at halftime. Mike McCoy has a TD in his debut as the Stamps starting quarterback. Our next game on TSN is next Thursday night, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. The BC Lions taking on the Hamilton Tiger Cats, two of the more explosive offenses in the league, hooking up at Ivor Wynn. Coming up next, it's Gino and Dutch with Sports Desk. Mike Weir continues to master Medina, among the top stories they'll have for you. (56-26). It was 17-17 at the halftime. The Eskimos just exploded. Ouch for the Bombers on this night. This has been a presentation of TSN, Canada's most watched sports network. Have a great weekend, everybody.